Chapter 3252. Rumble. Two peerless saber radiances, one black and one white, collided in the void. Avicii Hell's heaven-bearing saber was a saber that cut the heart. Avicii Hell's heaven-bearing saber was a saber that cut the soul. The two forbidden saber techniques were both saber techniques of the void. They didn't strike the physical body and only struck the Tao heart and primordial spirit. However, they were far more terrifying and dangerous than other saber techniques. Moreover, the saber techniques were indomitable and had to strike the target before stopping. Just like Zhao Ritian when he faced Chu Kuang, although only one forbidden saber radiance was sealed on Chu Kuang's body, it still injured Zhao Ritian's primordial spirit. The four forbidden saber techniques were extremely domineering, but each of them had their own advantages. The saber light in Ling Zhao's palm was like a ripple of water, gently spreading out without a sound. It was as clear as glass, reflecting the saber demon's incomparably serious eyes. The saber radiance slashed towards the saber demon. Ling Zhao looked indifferent and had no intention of blocking the saber demon. Fighting with your life? Let's see who has a tougher life. Seeing that Ling Zhao had no intention of blocking, Knife Demon's eyes revealed an incomparably crazy look. The murderous aura around him became thicker and thicker. Knife essence boiled and surged, causing the black knife light to become even more unpredictable. Ling Zhao's saber radiance seemed to have dazzling starlight and mysterious chaotic light lingering around it. It instantly penetrated the saber demon's protective demonic aura and slashed into his body. It was formless and intangible. The saber demon did not have any injuries on his body, but he heard a crisp sound as if something had cracked. The black saber radiance also pierced through Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness between his eyebrows and slashed towards his indestructible primordial spirit. When he sensed the forbidden saber, the 720 origin Tao fruits in Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness shone brightly at the same time. Mysterious boundaries intertwined and enveloped Ling Zhao's indestructible primordial spirit. A total of 720 barriers stood in front of the forbidden saber, emitting an immortal glow. Rumble. The taboo blade destroyed everything. The source enchantment trembled violently and shattered in an instant. The barriers were destroyed one after another, and the forbidden saber was getting closer and closer to Ling Zhao's indestructible primordial spirit. In the blink of an eye, 720 enchantments exploded with a loud bang. Just as the forbidden blade was about to strike Ling Zhao's indestructible primordial spirit without any obstruction, the shattered boundaries suddenly turned into a chaotic storm that contained the supreme power of destruction. It directly enveloped the black blade light. Crack! The black blade light only lasted for a moment before it was completely annihilated by the chaotic storm. The shattered saber light turned into mysterious runes. They trembled in the void and were about to dissipate. However, the 720 origin Tao fruits shone with resplendent light at the same time. Chains of order coiled out and enveloped the runes. Afterwards, the runes were drawn into Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness and refined. As expected, Ling Zhao seemed to have verified a guess in his heart, and his eyes were incomparably bright. However, the blade demon's entire body trembled violently. He spat out a mouthful of black blood, and his aura instantly weakened. You actually destroyed my forbidden saber? The blade demon's eyes were filled with horror. Ling Zhao did not block the forbidden saber, nor did he take it head-on. Instead, he destroyed the forbidden saber. Ling Zhao himself was not injured at all. This was even more shocking than Ling Zhao's forbidden saber, which had shattered his Tao heart. For countless epochs, he had never heard of anyone who could destroy the forbidden saber. This was a power that surpassed an ultimate emperor art. One could only take it head-on or block it with supreme treasures. However, Ling Zhao had destroyed the forbidden saber and even intercepted part of the forbidden saber's saber intent. This caused the blade demon to suffer a backlash and vomit blood. The surrounding crowd was baffled by this scene, but their eyes were also filled with disbelief and shock. Just now, Ling Zhao and the blade demon had each used a saber move. The blade demon's forbidden saber was naturally well known. It could destroy one's vital essence and spirit. Ling Zhao's saber move was as light as a feather, without the slightest trace of smoke or fire. It was like a saber move of a mortal. It was far less terrifying than the blade demons. However, the result was that Ling Zhao was unharmed, and the blade demon was vomiting blood. The blade demon was defeated with one move? How is this possible? The devil race experts behind Blade Demon were also incomparably shocked. This had already exceeded their understanding. Lord Blade Demon was so powerful that only Zhu Wushan Wang was stronger than him in the entire Yin-Yang Emperor City. However, Lord Blade Demon was defeated? You've lost. Ling Zhao looked at the Blade Demon and said indifferently. The Blade Demon trembled. When he saw Ling Zhao's calm eyes, he instantly felt numb. An uncontrollable fear surged from the depths of his heart. If not for the fact that he had a strong will, Ling Zhao's words would probably have made him run for his life. How did you do it? The Blade Demon's eyes were filled with unwillingness. Do you want to know? Take another move from me and I'll tell you. However, it's hard to say if you'll be able to hear me. Ling Zhao said indifferently. He stood in the air with his hands behind his back. His aura was ethereal and mysterious. He had an extremely mysterious temperament that made people not dare to look at him directly. Even Zhao Ritian and Yi Liangchen had to admit that Ling Zhao's move had shocked everyone. Even Blade Demon couldn't take a single blow from him. Just how powerful was Ling Zhao? The Blade Demon's eyes twitched. He looked deeply at Ling Zhao and said, Ling Zhao, I admit defeat today. However, you and I still have a fight in the realm of nothingness. He was practically gnashing his teeth as he said this. He also understood that after saying this, it meant that he had already shown weakness. However, his current state was no longer suitable to continue fighting. If he continued fighting, he might very well die here. That's right. However, the next fight will determine life and death. Ling Zhao said indifferently. Let's go. The Blade Demon's face was extremely gloomy. He immediately turned around and led a group of Demon Clan experts away from the purple withered forest. The Blade Demon ran away without a fight? Many of the challengers were shocked by the Blade Demon's reaction. It was just a clash of swords. The Blade Demon was not completely defenseless. However, he was willing to leave just like that? Although many people did not know what was going on, their gazes towards Ling Zhao were filled with awe and respect. Ling Zhao, why did you let the Blade Demon go? You could have just killed him with one move. Kuan Peng came up and whispered softly. Don't talk. Hurry up and hold me back. I can't take it anymore. Ling Zhao said to Kuan Peng through telepathy. His voice was filled with helplessness. What? Kuan Peng was shocked. He looked at the Blade Demon and the rest who were not far away. He immediately acted like a thief and rushed to Ling Zhao's feet. Then he channeled an endless amount of origin energy into Ling Zhao's body. Phew! I almost exposed myself. What a domineering forbidden saber! Ling Zhao heaved a sigh of relief and smiled bitterly. Although he had confirmed some of his guesses, there were still some surprises. He did not expect that after the Blade Demon's Avicii Hell's burial saber blade was destroyed, the 720 origin Dao fruits actually retained part of the saber essence. At this moment, it had turned into a black saber radiance in his primordial spirit. It exuded an ancient and mysterious aura. In order to keep this saber intent, Ling Zhao's cultivation and strength had basically been sealed up. He almost fell out of the void. Therefore, it was not that he did not want to keep the Blade Demon alive. He was just too weak. Ling Zhao, are you all right? Zhao Ritian and Yi Liangchen's eyes lit up. They seemed to have noticed something and quickly flew over to Ling Zhao through telepathy. I'm fine. I just can't use my cultivation temporarily. There are too many people here. Let's leave this place first. Ling Zhao looked at the challengers who had not completely left and said to Zhao Ritian and Yi Liangchen through telepathy. Alright. They nodded and acted as if nothing had happened. They left Purple Withered Forest with Kuan Peng and flew towards Yin-Yang Emperor City. In Purple Withered Forest, the result of the battle quickly spread back to Yin-Yang Emperor City as if it had grown wings. The entire Yin-Yang Emperor City was shaken. The battle between Zhao Ritian and Chu Kuang had ended with Chu Kuang's death at Zhao Ritian's hands. However, what was even more shocking was that King Killer Ling Xiao, who was ranked 36th on the Dao confirmation list, had returned. In Purple Withered Forest, Ling Xiao had injured the Blade Demon with a single slash. The Blade Demon had no choice but to retreat while vomiting blood. When this news reached Yinyang Emperor City, everyone was stunned. Ling Xiao? Ling Xiao, who is ranked 36th on the Dao confirmation list, is back? He defeated the Blade Demon? How is this possible? The Blade Demon is ranked 18th on the Dao confirmation list. How did Ling Xiao do it? Ling Xiao is no ordinary person. Although he is not an ancient prodigy, he is the chosen one of this era. Moreover, it is said that the reason he is ranked 36th on the Dao confirmation list is because he entered the chaotic wilderness. Otherwise, his ranking would be even higher. But the Blade Demon once stood at the pinnacle of the ancient era. It would not be an exaggeration to call him a supreme king. How did he lose to Ling Xiao? So what if he's a supreme king? In the era of great battles, prodigies compete. The ancients may not be able to defeat the current generation. I think many people who have yet to enter the Dao confirmation list have the strength to do so. In Yinyang Emperor City, the trial takers discussed animatedly. They were all shocked by Ling Xiao's return. At this moment, Ling Xiao, who they were discussing, had already entered Yinyang Emperor City. I relied on 720 origin Dao fruits to obtain a portion of the Blade Demon's saber intent. Although it's not complete, I can already use the Avicii Hell's God-burying saber. Ling Xiao praised inwardly. The forbidden saber was known as the Saber of Transcendence. It was unpredictable and powerful. It was even more powerful than an Apex Emperor technique. In the past epics, there were many successors of the forbidden saber. Almost all of them were able to reach the end of the Eternal Emperor Road and reach the pinnacle to become supreme kings. Take the Blade Demon for example. Although his strength was terrifying, he relied on the Avicii Hell's God-burying saber to become a supreme king of an epic. Ling Xiao had used the Blade Demon as a whetstone in his previous battle with the Blade Demon. He wanted to use the Blade Demon to confirm his guess for the past 100 years. As expected, when the 720 origin Dao fruits gathered together, the terrifying power unleashed was far beyond Ling Xiao's imagination. It could even block the forbidden saber. If the 3,000 origin Dao fruits gathered together, the 3,000 great Daos would strengthen my body. That would be the true supreme power, right? By then, I would be able to kill even a great emperor. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he thought to himself. After refining the saber intent of the forbidden saber, his cultivation had recovered to its original state. At this moment, Ling Xiao, Kunpeng, Zhao Ritian, and Yi Liangshan had all arrived at the Yinyang Imperial City and entered a restaurant called the Pinnacle. The Pinnacle restaurant was named after the meaning of reaching the pinnacle. It was opened by the native living beings of the Yinyang Imperial City. There were many delicious dishes, fresh fruits, and rare treasures. They were all rare items on the Eternal Emperor Road. Ling Xiao, I didn't expect your strength to become so unfathomable after not seeing you for 100 years. Even that Blade Demon was defeated by you. I'm afraid that even if you face that absolute divine king, you still have the strength to fight, right? Zhao Ritian looked at Ling Xiao and sighed softly. There was indeed a sense of defeat in his heart. After chasing after Ling Xiao for so long, he realized that there was still a big gap between him and Ling Xiao. Brother Ritian, my cultivation is not as good as yours. However, my Dao is a little special. It's different from yours. Who is this supreme being Zhu Wu? Ling Xiao smiled faintly and asked curiously. Supreme being Zhu Wu? That's the peerless Sky Pride ranked 8th on the Dao affirmation list. He's also the owner of the Yinyang Imperial City. Legend has it that he's the 3 ultimate king. He once dominated the Eternal Emperor Road for 3 epics. Yi Liangshan interrupted. Who made the Dao affirmation list? Ling Xiao was ranked 36th on the Dao affirmation list. It seems like the Dao affirmation list is not reliable at all. Kuan Peng held a roasted leg of lamb with one hand and drank wine from a crystal glass with the other hand as he said vaguely. The Tao affirmation list was made by some hidden experts of the 12 imperial cities. According to the performance of the Sky Prides on the Eternal Emperor Road, there are a total of 36 people on the list. However, most of them are monstrous geniuses of the ancient era. There are very few people in this epoch. For example, Ling Xiao is known as the Killer King. He's ranked 36th. Although the Tao affirmation list is not completely accurate, it can roughly tell the difference in strength between the Sky Prides. At least the top 12 experts on the Tao affirmation list are extremely powerful. Almost all of them are supreme kings. They're also the owners of the 12 imperial cities. Zhao Ritian said slowly and introduced the information about the Tao affirmation list. Ling Xiao, do you want to become the owner of the Yin-Yang Imperial City? As long as you defeat Supreme Being Zhu Wu, you'll be the owner of the Yin-Yang Imperial City. Yi Liangchen suddenly said. His eyes were filled with anticipation. The owner of the Yin-Yang Imperial City? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with light. The 12 imperial cities did not have a guardian, but they had an owner. Chapter 3253. The 12 emperor cities don't have a guardian, but they can have a master. Although the master of the 12 emperor cities can't use the power of Heaven's Way to suppress the enemy like the guardian, they can gain the recognition of Heaven's Way. They can comprehend the 3,000 great path origins and gain an extremely fast cultivation speed. Zhao Ritian explained to Ling Xiao. Comprehend the 3,000 great path origins? Ling Zhao's eyes lit up. If he could gain such benefits after becoming the master of the Emperor City, he was tempted. After all, Ling Zhao's path was different from others. He needed to comprehend the 3,000 great paths and gather the 3,000 great path origins before he could take the final step. However, it was extremely difficult to gather the 3,000 great path origins. Of the 720 origin Tao fruits in Ling Zhao's body, he had only condensed a few through his own comprehension. Most of the others were obtained from trial takers and powerful primordial beasts. Moreover, the stronger the great path origin, the harder it was to comprehend it. If Ling Xiao were to comprehend it alone, he wouldn't be able to gather the 3,000 great path origins even if he had an era. He had to admit that he was tempted by the benefits of becoming the master of the Emperor City that Zhao Ritian mentioned. Moreover, I heard that once you become the master of the Emperor City, you will be able to reach the end of the world easier than others when the Void Realm opens. Ling Xiao, you must seize this opportunity. Yi Liangchen said as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. Since Zhu Wu Supreme Being is a triple ultimate being, he must be very powerful, right? Do you really believe that Ling Xiao can defeat him? Kuan Peng asked curiously. How would we know if we don't try? Moreover, we are very confident in Ling Xiao. Moreover, Zhu Wu Supreme Being is very hostile towards the human race. I heard that his hands are stained with the blood of many human experts. He is friends with the Blade Demon. When the time comes, even if we don't look for him, he will come to us. Yi Liangchen said slowly. That's right. You must fight for the master of the Yin-Yang Emperor City. A cold and indifferent voice was heard. A young man in black walked in from outside Jueshio Pavilion. Demon Lord? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. However, he still pretended to be surprised. The young man in black was Darkness Ling Xiao. It's me. Brother Ling Xiao, long time no see. Darkness Ling Xiao said calmly. You really do know each other. Zhao Ritian looked as if he had seen through all of them. Brother Devil Master, you finally come out. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian and I would have been in deep trouble. That Blade Demon is nothing, but fortunately he is not Ling Zhao's match. Yap Liangchen said excitedly. Darkness Ling Xiao gestured for everyone to sit down. Similarly, he sat opposite Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with a cruel and callous expression. A baleful aura emanated from his body. It was bone-chilling. His cultivation was actually slightly higher than Ling Xiao, and he'd already attained the 8th level of the Imperial Monarch realm. I've gained something from my breakthrough this time, so I've been delayed. But don't worry, that saber demon's life is mine. Dark Ling Shao sneered. Brother Devil Master, did you just say that you want me to fight for the Imperial City Lord position? Ling Shao said as he looked at the darkness. This was the first time he met Darkness Ling Shao in a few hundred years after he created the Darkness Doppelganger. Even though he knew that the doppelganger in front of him was also himself, Ling Shao still had a strange feeling in his heart. Although Darkness Ling Shao and Ling Shao were of the same origin, and their primordial spirits were formed by half of Ling Zhao's primordial spirit, it seemed like Darkness Ling Shao had gained some self-consciousness. It was as if there were some secrets on Darkness Ling Shao that even Ling Shao did not know about. He did not know if this change was good or bad, but it seemed like everything was still under control. That's right. You've killed the guardians of the 4 great imperial cities, so your primordial spirit should have condensed the Heaven Path Pearl, right? It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call you the son of the heavens. The Heaven Path Pearl is an unbearable temptation to divine King Ju Wu. Even if you don't look for him, he'll come to you for the Heaven Path Pearl. Darkness Ling Shao nodded and said, of course, he had already communicated with Ling Shao in the depths of their primordial spirits. Darkness Ling Shao was only saying this for Zhao Ritian and the others to hear. Brother Demon Lord is right. Ling Shao, with the Heaven Path Pearl in the hands of divine King Ju Wu, he'll be able to comprehend the origin of the heavens even faster. He'll accumulate more foundation and become stronger. Zhao Ritian also nodded and said, it seems like there will be a battle between divine King Ju Wu and I? Ling Shao smiled faintly as a bright light flashed in his eyes. Just as Ling Shao, Zhao Ritian and the others were conversing in Jueshio Pavilion, Blade Demon arrived at the depths of Yin Yang Imperial City. There was a huge mansion here, known as the Divine King Mansion. It was as magnificent as a palace, ancient and majestic. It was the residence of the divine King Ju Wu, the master of Yin Yang Imperial City. In the center of the Divine King Mansion, there was a towering pagoda. It was like a sharp sword that pierced through the heavens. It was tens of thousands of feet tall. This was the heaven-reaching pagoda, where divine King Ju Wu cultivated in seclusion. At the peak of the heaven-reaching pagoda, there was a sea of chaotic clouds. Auspicious vapors rose and thousands of auspicious lights shone. Divine chains of order intertwined, forming a mysterious ocean. A middle-aged man in a purple dragon robe sat cross-legged in the sea of chaotic clouds. His face was cold and he exuded an aura of death and nothingness. His glabella shone brightly as he breathed in and out chaos. Divine chains of order connected his glabella to his sea of consciousness. It was as though they were conveying the mysteries of heaven and earth. Blade Demon came to the peak of the heaven-reaching pagoda. When he saw the back of the middle-aged man in a purple robe in the sea of chaotic clouds, his eyes were filled with envy. This was the fortune of the master of the imperial city. The middle-aged man in a purple robe was naturally divine King Ju Wu. Blade Demon, you're here? A faint voice reverberated in the sea of chaotic clouds. Divine King, you should know why I'm here, right? Blade Demon said slowly with a hoarse voice. There are cracks in your Dao heart. Is Ling Shao really that strong? Divine King Ju Wu exclaimed softly. He turned around slowly with a tinge of surprise in his eyes. As the master of the Yin Yang Imperial City, he would naturally be informed of what happened in Purple Withered Forest. He has the Avicii Hell's heaven-bearing blade, the most mysterious and strongest of the 4 forbidden blades. Blade Demon looked at divine King Ju Wu and said, no wonder. The heart-severing blade is indeed unstoppable. However, Ling Shao must be extremely strong. As long as he doesn't provoke me, I won't find trouble with him. I'm afraid you found the wrong person to see me. Divine King Ju Wu said plainly. Really? Is Divine King not interested in the Heaven Path Pearl? Blade Demon said with a faint smile. Heaven Path Pearl? That requires a lot of Heaven Path fate. Although Ling Shao killed the 4 Imperial City Guardians, he might not have the Heaven Path Pearl in his body, right? Divine King Ju Wu said after a moment of silence. Divine King, you're lying to yourself. You know better than me how much Heaven Path fate the Imperial City Guardians have. He must have the Heaven Path Pearl in his body, and there must be a reason why you have to kill him. The Blade Demon sneered. What reason? He has at least 300 Origin Dao fruits in his body, and all of them are perfect. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to block my Avicii Hell's heaven-bearing blade and scathe. What? Divine King Ju Wu shot to his feet. He's also a robber? As if sensing the problem in his words, Divine King Ju Wu said flatly, he can't be a robber. But why would he have so many perfect Origin Dao fruits in his body? You're right. He really isn't a robber. His aura is different from yours. Otherwise, I would have sensed it. Blade Demon glanced at Divine King Ju Wu with a faint smile, then changed the subject. There are only two possibilities as to why he has so many perfect Origin Dao fruits in his body. The first is that he has the Chaos Treasure Jade Disc of Fortune in his body, and the second is that he's chosen that path. Which path? Divine King Ju Wu's eyes flashed sharply. He nodded, then shook his head. That's not very likely. That path has long since been proven to be a dead end. Many people have failed. But if he has the Jade Disc of Fortune in his body, it's not impossible. No matter which possibility it is, he still has a large number of perfect Origin Dao fruits in his body. There's no way he can escape that. Are you really not tempted? Blade Demon smiled faintly. Alright, Ling Zhao's life is mine. What do you want now, Blade Demon? Divine King Ju Wu didn't hesitate in the slightest, his gaze fierce and domineering. Of course I want the forbidden blade in his body. Divine King, Ling Zhao's strength cannot be underestimated. To ensure that nothing goes wrong, it's best if we work together. When the time comes, I only want the forbidden blade. Everything else is yours. Blade Demon looked deeply at Divine King Ju Wu. Alright, there's another reason you called me here, isn't there? If you want your Dao heart to recover quickly, you need to borrow the power of the heavenly Dao. Divine King Ju Wu glanced at Blade Demon. Divine King, you're wise. The Blade Demon smiled calmly, not concealing his purpose. But I'll help you. I hope that Ling Zhao won't disappoint me. Divine King Ju Wu nodded. He knew that Ling Zhao's strength was unparalleled if he could split Blade Demon's Dao heart with a single slash. Just him alone wasn't enough. With Blade Demon around, if the two of them worked together, they would definitely be able to kill Ling Zhao. Divine King Ju Wu began to heal Blade Demon in the sky connecting tower. Powerful figures flew out from the Deity King's mansion and headed towards where Ling Zhao, Zhao Ritian, and the rest were. Of course, their goal wasn't to kill Ling Zhao, but to monitor his every move. In Yin Yang Emperor City, Ling Zhao was walking on the streets. The surrounding trial takers were looking at him with respect and awe. News of the battle in Purple Withered Forest spread to Yin Yang Imperial City. Everyone had a deep understanding of Ling Zhao's strength, so no one dared to underestimate him anymore. At the same time, Ling Zhao could vaguely sense that several figures were spying on him. Although their auras were concealed, he still detected them. Are they Blade Demon's men, or Divine King Ju Wu's men? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. However, he didn't show it on his face. Those people were just spying on him. Since he knew that he would have to fight Blade Demon and Divine King Ju Wu, Ling Zhao didn't care about being followed. Heaven Dao Pavilion. This was the most prosperous commercial building in Yin Yang Imperial City. It was opened by a powerful native. That native's strength was unfathomable. It was said that he wasn't weaker than the experts on the Dao confirmation list. Therefore, many trial takers were willing to come here to buy treasures. It was called Heaven Dao Pavilion because the native behind it was said to be related to the Imperial City's guardian. Ling Zhao had come to the Heaven Dao Pavilion to purchase some Origin Dao fruits. As the number of perfected Origin Dao fruits in his body increased, it became harder and harder to obtain rare Origin Dao fruits. Ling Zhao only wanted to try his luck. In order to avoid trouble, Ling Zhao even concealed his aura before entering Heaven Dao Pavilion. He concealed some of his features so that no one could tell his true identity. After all, he was now very famous in Yin Yang Imperial City. His reputation was so great that it was comparable to Divine King Ju Wu's. Esteemed guest, may I know what you're looking for? An old man with white hair and a beard approached Ling Zhao. His eyes shone brightly when he saw Ling Xiao. "Old man, I'd like to buy some perfected origin Dao fruits. Do you have any?" Ling Xiao cupped his fists and smiled at the old man. "Perfected origin Dao fruits? Yes, I do. However, could it be that you wish to take a second or even a third path after breaking through to the Imperial Emperor realm?" The old man sized Ling Xiao up and asked curiously. "That's right." Ling Xiao nodded and said, "I see. May I know what kind of origin Dao fruit you're looking for?" The old man asked. "I haven't thought about it yet. Why don't you show me around? If I'm satisfied with the origin Dao fruit, I'll buy it." Ling Xiao smiled. He had already thought of an excuse. "Esteemed guest, please follow me." The old man's status in the Heaven Dao Pavilion was obviously not low. He brought Ling Xiao directly to a room on the second floor. Then, he gestured for a few beautiful maids to bring in more than 10 white jade treasure boxes. "There are a total of 86 perfected origin Dao fruits here. Esteemed guest, take a look. Are there any that you're satisfied with?" The old man waved his hand and the white jade treasure boxes were opened. Among them, the origin Dao fruits emitted a dazzling and mysterious light. Strands of Dao energy permeated the air, filling the entire room with treasure light. It was quite extraordinary. Ling Xiao was also looking forward to it. Heaven Dao Pavilion was indeed extraordinary. They actually took out 86 perfected origin Dao fruits at once. However, after Ling Xiao took a closer look, he realized that more than half of the 86 origin Dao fruits were of the 5 elements. They were the most common ones. The rest were the same as the origin Dao fruits in Ling Xiao's body. There were no origin Dao fruits that he needed. "Sir, is that all you have? Although these origin Dao fruits are perfected, they're too common." Ling Xiao sighed softly. As if he saw the disappointment in Ling Xiao's eyes, a gleam of light flashed through the old man's eyes. He suddenly smiled. "Esteemed guest, I do have some perfect origin Dao fruits, but they were all found in ruins from a few epochs ago. Most of them have been damaged. Do you want to take a look?" "Found in ruins a few eras ago? Then I'd like to broaden my horizons." Ling Xiao suddenly thought of something and smiled. Chapter 3254. An origin source Dao fruit from a few epochs ago could be preserved until now. Even if it had suffered some damage, it was still an incredible treasure. Moreover, Ling Xiao understood that among the 3,000 great Daos, the great Dao origins that the prodigies of this epoch cultivated were mostly similar. Some of the rarer great Dao origins were even close to being lost. If he wanted to find such a perfect origin source Dao fruit, he would have to find it in some ancient ruins. Human strength was limited, but the power of heaven and earth was endless. For example, it was almost impossible for Ling Xiao to comprehend all 3,000 origins of the great Dao. He had the 108 Heavenly Dipper Earthly Fiend secret arts and 108 related origin source Dao fruits in his body. As long as he spent some time, he would be able to comprehend them to perfection. However, some of the more ancient great Dao origins might repel Ling Xiao and have no affinity with him. Naturally, it was impossible for him to comprehend them. In that case, he would have to rely on the origin source Dao fruit. The origin source Dao fruit was like a seed, and a perfect origin source Dao fruit contained a complete great Dao origin. It could allow Ling Xiao to master it even faster. Therefore, the origin source Dao fruit in the ancient ruins that the old man mentioned immediately piqued Ling Xiao's interest. "Esteemed guest, please take a look." The old man smiled and waved his sleeve. Immediately, a dazzling light bloomed and 10 white jade treasure boxes appeared. The 10 white jade treasure boxes looked very ancient and were filled with the vicissitudes of time. After opening them, each white jade treasure box contained 10 origin source Dao fruits. There were a total of 100 origin source Dao fruits. However, the 100 origin source Dao fruits looked like shriveled seeds. They didn't have any Daoist ripples and were very inconspicuous. Ling Xiao's body shook. He immediately waved his hand and a white jade treasure box landed in his palm. He carefully inspected it. It was indeed a perfect origin source Dao fruit. Moreover, it contained a trace of extremely pure Daoist ripples. However, It seemed like countless years had caused the origin source Tao fruit to wither and be damaged. Most importantly, none of these 100 origin source Tao fruits overlapped with the 720 origin source Tao fruits in Ling Zhao's body. Ling Zhao's eyes lit up. With these 100 origin source Tao fruits, his cultivation might be able to break through to the 8th heaven of the Imperial Lord Realm. Esteemed guest, even though these 100 quintessence Tao fruits have been damaged, it's not irreversible. As long as they're nourished by the karmic luck of the heavenly Tao, they'll be able to recover. The old man smiled as if he had seen through Ling Zhao's hesitation. Nurtured by the providence of the heavenly Tao? Ling Zhao nodded. These were all origin Tao fruits, the embodiment of the origin of the great Tao. The fate of the heavenly Tao was like the water of life to the origin Tao fruits. It could indeed revive them. However, the heavenly Tao karmic luck was even rarer than the quintessence Tao fruit. Most people probably wouldn't use the heavenly Tao karmic luck to nourish the quintessence Tao fruit. You saw through my identity? Ling Zhao looked deeply at the old man and said calmly. The old man had taken out 100 origin Tao fruits from the primordial ruins and said that they could be nurtured with the heavenly Tao providence. He must have seen that Ling Zhao had the heavenly Tao providence. If Ling Zhao still didn't know that the old man had seen through his identity, then he would be a fool. That's right, Your Excellency Ling Zhao. I am Zhou Yuan, the leader of the Heaven Tao Pavilion. I have a good friend who is the guardian of Jin Wu Emperor City. That's why I learned about your aura imprint from him. The white-haired old man stood up and cupped his fists at Ling Zhao with a smile. Pavilion Master Zhou, what do you want from me by taking out these origin Tao fruits? Ling Zhao didn't move and asked calmly. He didn't believe that Zhou Yuan didn't have any other motives. These 100 origin Tao fruits from the primordial ruins were considered supreme treasures no matter where they were placed. Especially for robbers, it was a fatal temptation. Your Excellency Ling Zhao, you should have seen that my cultivation is only at the 7th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. However, a month ago, my cultivation was at the 9th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. And all of this was given to me by the invincible Divine King. Zhou Yuan gritted his teeth as he spoke. His eyes were filled with hatred. As he explained, Ling Zhao gradually came to an understanding. As it turned out, Zhou Yuan had discovered an ancient ruin a month ago. It seemed to be the ruins of a holy land from countless epochs ago, and he had discovered quite a few treasures there. However, the invincible Divine King suddenly barged in. Not only did he steal a large number of treasures, but he also severely injured Zhou Yuan and destroyed his Tao foundation, causing Zhou Yuan's cultivation to drop. Fortunately, Zhou Yuan had a life-saving trump card. Otherwise, he would have died in the primordial ruins. Furthermore, Zhou Yuan had a secret technique to change his aura. Although the invincible Divine King severely injured him, he didn't know his true identity. Therefore, even if he returned to Yinyang Emperor City, the invincible Divine King wouldn't be able to find him. However, because of this, Zhou Yuan hated the invincible Divine King to the core. However, Ling Zhao had heard too many cases of people killing others to steal their treasures. His expression didn't change at all. I'm willing to give these 100 origin Tao fruits to Your Excellency Ling Zhao for free. I only hope that you can avenge me and kill the invincible Divine King. Zhou Yuan bowed deeply to Ling Zhao and said sincerely. Ling Zhao glanced at Zhou Yuan and said indifferently, "What makes you think that I can kill the invincible Divine King? Moreover, even if I could do it, why should I help you? You can't be thinking that a mere 100 origin Tao fruits can buy the life of a prodigy ranked 8th on the Tao validation list, right?" Zhou Yuan suddenly raised his head and hurriedly said, "Your Excellency Ling Zhao, the news of you killing the sword demon in a single strike in Purple Withered Forest has already spread throughout the 12 Emperor cities. Although the invincible Divine King is ranked 8th on the Tao validation list, I believe that you can definitely kill him. Most importantly, you will definitely kill him. I obtained these 10 white jade boxes in the primordial ruins, but there are still 90 white jade boxes in the invincible Divine King's hands. There are 900 origin Tao fruits in there." When he saw that Ling Zhao didn't immediately refuse, he knew that there was hope. Therefore, he spared no effort in persuading him and revealed a secret that shocked Ling Xiao. 900 Origin Dao Fruits. Ling Xiao's entire body shook. He couldn't remain calm. In addition to the 100 Origin Dao Fruits, that was a total of 1,000 Origin Dao Fruits. 1,000 Origin Dao Fruits found in the primordial ruins, and all of them were of the perfect grade. How much could they raise Ling Xiao's cultivation? At this moment, Ling Xiao decided that he had to obtain these 1,000 Origin Dao Fruits no matter what. Your Excellency Ling Xiao, I wouldn't dare lie to you. As long as you kill the invincible Divine King, you'll have 1,000 Origin Dao Fruits in your hands. Zhou Yuan's attitude became even more humble. He even changed the way he addressed Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao looked deeply at Zhou Yuan and did not say a word. After a while, he stood up and put away the 10 white jade boxes. I'll accept this deal, Ling Xiao said, then turned and left the Heaven Dao Pavilion. Zhou Yuan instantly felt relieved when he saw Ling Xiao's departing figure. A trace of anticipation appeared in his eyes. Grandpa, can he really kill the invincible Divine King? There was a flash of light in the void, and a beautiful lady in a purple dress appeared in front of Zhou Yuan. There was a trace of deep worry in her eyes. Before I saw him, I couldn't be sure. But after seeing him, I'm sure that Ling Xiao is indeed unfathomable. Even if he can't kill the invincible Divine King, he can severely injure him. Then our Zhou family will have hope. Zhou Yuan sighed softly. I hope he can really do it. Otherwise, it'll be a disaster for our Zhou family. The woman in purple bit her lips and said with a complicated expression, Interesting. He wants to use me to kill the invincible Divine King? I really want to see what's hidden behind the Heaven Dao Pavilion. Below the Heaven Dao Pavilion, Ling Xiao thought to himself as he looked deeply at the Heaven Dao Pavilion. He didn't think that Zhou Yuan wanted him to kill the invincible Divine King for revenge. There must be other reasons behind it. However, since Zhou Yuan didn't want to talk about it, he didn't want to probe further. No matter what, these 100 Origin Dao Fruits were indeed rare treasures to Ling Xiao. That Heaven Dao Pearl came in handy, but I don't know if it's enough to nourish these 100 Origin Dao Fruits. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with anticipation. He turned and walked toward the Jueshio Pavilion. He had already booked a side residence in the Jueshio Pavilion. Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian, and the rest were resting in the side residence. Ling Xiao returned to the side residence and took out the 100 Origin Dao Fruits. 100 Origin Dao Fruits were like 100 seeds. Although there was a faint presence of Dao within them, they looked extremely shriveled and ordinary. Only the intertwining patterns on them showed some of their extraordinariness. Ling Xiao's glabella shone brightly. It was as if a devouring vortex had appeared and swallowed the 100 Origin Dao Fruits into his consciousness. The Heaven Dao Pearl in Ling Xiao's consciousness shone brightly. It was intertwined with mysterious divine chains of order and emitted an ethereal and mysterious energy wave. With a thought from Ling Xiao, the Sky Path Pearl flew towards the 100 Dao Fruits in an instant. Let's hope this Heaven Dao Pearl can nurture all 100 Origin Dao Fruits. Ling Xiao's heart was filled with anticipation. Even though the Heaven Dao Pearl was incredibly expensive, Ling Xiao didn't feel any heartache over it. Nurturing the 100 Origin Dao Fruits would be the greatest reward. The 100 Origin Dao Fruits buzzed as if they could sense the Heaven Dao Pearl's power. Wisps of mysterious karmic luck emerged from the Heaven Dao Pearl and slowly merged with the Origin Dao Fruits. The extremely shriveled essence Dao Fruit actually began to emit a faint light. It really works, Ling Xiao thought. Without any hesitation, he activated the vast karmic luck in the Heaven Dao Pearl and poured it into the Origin Dao Fruits to nourish the damaged ones. The 100 Origin Dao Fruits began to emit dazzling light, and wisps of Taoist rhymes began to spread out. Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit shone brilliantly as he sat cross-legged in the boundless void. The 720 Origin Dao Fruits around him trembled slightly and intertwined with the mysterious Great Dao Origin power. At that moment, the 100 Origin Dao Fruits also emitted a faint Dao aura that slowly flowed into Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit. Ling Zhao's indestructible primordial spirit also began to comprehend the great Tao origin within the 100 origin Tao fruits. After Ling Xiao went into seclusion, Yin-Yang Emperor City appeared very calm on the surface despite the turbulent undercurrents. News of Ling Zhao's appearance in Yin-Yang Emperor City also began to spread throughout the 12 Emperor cities. Although the 12 Emperor cities weren't close to each other and it wasn't easy to travel to other Emperor cities, it wasn't a problem for the top prodigies. The prodigy trial takers who entered the 12 Emperor cities were all waiting for the opening of the realm of nothingness. Although many prodigies fought from time to time, they all maintained a certain level of restraint before entering the realm of nothingness. Ling Zhao's return from the primal chaos wilderness alarmed some of his old friends. Reincarnation Emperor City. Ling Xiao is in Yin-Yang Emperor City? Ha! I knew it. That guy is very lucky. He definitely won't die. The old goat and the white dragon horse were extremely excited. Their mouths were almost crooked from laughing, and the joy in their eyes couldn't be concealed. Although they usually talked nonsense, they were actually very worried about Ling Xiao. When they heard that Ling Xiao had returned from the chaotic wilderness, they immediately relaxed. Not only did Ling Xiao return, but he also defeated the 18th ranked Blade Demon outside Yin-Yang Emperor City. I think his true strength is at least in the top 10 of the Tao affirmation list. Taoist Wu Yang smiled faintly. Tao affirmation list? What kind of list is that? Even Senior Dugu and I aren't in it. How dare you call it the Tao affirmation list? Let's hurry to Yin-Yang Emperor City and find Ling Xiao. The old goat spat and said. His eyes were filled with anticipation. All right. When Senior Dugu comes out of seclusion, we'll go find Ling Xiao. Taoist Wu Yang nodded with a smile. This time, we brothers will sweep through Yin-Yang Emperor City. When Ling Xiao becomes the city lord, we'll kill our way into the realm of nothingness. Wouldn't that be great? The white dragon horse was also filled with anticipation. Life-Death Emperor City. Ba Dao and Ji Feishuan had already entered Life-Death Emperor City and heard about Ling Zhao's return. Big brother is in Yin-Yang Emperor City. Your Majesty, I'm going to look for him. Ba Dao looked at Ji Feishuan seriously. Go ahead. However, I'm afraid I won't be able to go to Yin-Yang Emperor City for the time being. I'll be in seclusion for a period of time. When I come out, I'm going to test the strength of the city lord. Ji Feishuan said with a faint smile. Her white robe was as beautiful as snow. After entering Life-Death Emperor City, her cultivation aura had become even more unfathomable. Even Ba Dao, who was an 8th heavenly emperor, felt his heart palpitate. Although the empress rarely fought and wasn't even listed on the Tao affirmation list, Ba Dao knew that Ji Feishuan's strength wasn't any weaker than the city lord. It wouldn't be difficult for Ji Feishuan to become the city lord. All right, Your Majesty, we'll meet again in the realm of nothingness. Ba Dao cupped his fists at Ji Feishuan. See you in the realm of nothingness. Ji Feishuan smiled faintly and exuded a majestic aura of vitality. She turned around and disappeared into the void. Chaos Emperor City. Interesting. That Ling Xiao actually walked out of the chaos wilderness? A faint voice sounded. A mysterious and extraordinary young man shrouded in immortal light walked out of a palace. Around him, strange scenes of the birth and death of worlds seemed to appear. Your Majesty, 9th Prince, you're already ranked 2nd on the Tao affirmation list. Even the person ranked 1st on the Tao affirmation list isn't your match. What's Ling Xiao to you? Is he worthy of your attention? A prodigy trial taker with a valiant figure bowed deeply to the young man, his face full of fanatical adoration. The 9th Prince of the Immortal Tribe, the peerless Sky Pride ranked 2nd on the Tao affirmation list. He was known as an invincible peerless genius and was the strongest expert of this epoch. He had countless followers, including Sky Prides on the Tao affirmation list. The 9th Prince's followers all believed that even though he was ranked 2nd on the Tao affirmation list, it wasn't impossible for him to defeat the person ranked 1st on the Tao affirmation list. You don't understand. Ling Xiao isn't an ordinary person. The city lord of the Yin-Yang Emperor City is Zhu Wu Shenwang, right? I'm afraid he's going to kick an iron plate this time. The ninth prince smiled faintly. Zhu Wu Shenwang is ranked 8th on the Dao affirmation list. Could it be that he can't defeat Ling Xiao? The surrounding sky prides were extremely shocked. Zhu Wu Shenwang is going to die soon. I'm very curious. How far can Ling Xiao go? I hope he won't disappoint me. The ninth prince said softly. His gaze seemed to pierce through the layers of chaos space and landed on Ling Xiao, who was cultivating in seclusion in the Yin-Yang Emperor city. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Chapter 3255. Divine King, I've investigated thoroughly. The person you injured that day is Zhou Yuan, the leader of the Heaven Dao Pavilion. On the heaven-reaching tower, a prodigy in pure gold armor bowed to Divine King Zhu Wu. Zhou Yuan? You're courting death. Ye Chen, make a trip and capture Zhou Yuan. Especially those 10 white jade boxes, you must bring them back for this king. Divine King Zhu Wu's cold and murderous voice rang out. Yi Chen was his follower. Although he wasn't on the Dao confirmation list, he had the cultivation of a peerless emperor. He was extremely powerful, and dealing with a severely injured Zhou Yuan was a piece of cake. However, Yi Chen hesitated for a moment and didn't immediately accept the order. What? Is there anything else? Divine King Zhu Wu asked. Divine King, Zhou Yuan is extremely vigilant. He has already escaped from Yin-Yang Imperial City. Before he escaped, he sold the 10 white jade treasure boxes to Ling Xiao. Yi Chen reported. What? Divine King Zhu Wu's voice suddenly turned cold, and a terrifying murderous aura erupted from him. How dare you? Is Zhou Yuan trying to drive a tiger to kill a wolf? You're courting death. I'll deal with him after I kill Ling Xiao. Divine King Zhu Wu stood up in the sea of chaotic clouds. A terrifying aura rose around him, causing a storm in the sea of chaotic clouds around him. His eyes landed on Ye Chen. They were like divine lamps that shone with a blazing light, causing Ye Chen to feel extremely pressured. Gather the 10 divine lords and follow me to kill Ling Xiao. Divine King Zhu Wu said coldly. Yes. Yi Chen's body trembled and he immediately accepted the order respectfully. Was it finally coming? His heart was filled with anticipation. Ever since Ling Xiao entered Yin-Yang Imperial City, everyone knew that there would be a battle between Ling Xiao and Divine King Zhu Wu. Although most people thought that Ling Xiao's chances of winning were extremely small, it didn't stop them from wanting to witness this shocking battle. A battle between two peerless prodigies on the Dao confirmation list was definitely a rare grand event in the 12 imperial cities. It was worthy of everyone's anticipation. Divine King, aren't you being too impulsive? Blade Demon's voice came from the depths of chaos behind him. Impulse? You don't even know what's inside those 10 white jade treasure boxes. Who knows, Ling Xiao might have already refined them. I have to kill Ling Xiao as soon as possible. Otherwise, if things go awry, even I might not be able to do anything to him. Saber Demon, how is your Dao heart recovering? God King Zhu Wu's eyes stared into the depths of the void as he spoke slowly. I'm fine now. Since the Deity King had said so, there was no time to lose. I will hide in the dark and assist the Divine King in killing Ling Xiao at any time. The Blade Demon nodded. Don't worry, it's not just you this time. The City Lord of Celestial Battling City will also come, and I've arranged other things. This time Ling Xiao must die. God King Zhu Wu coldly said. With that, he stepped into the void and left the top of the Tower of Babel. Bush, bush, bush. Figures with powerful presences soared into the sky from the God King's estate, heading for the Jueshio Pavilion. They moved as fast as lightning, radiating with terrifying pulses of presence without hiding it at all. Their leader was God King Zhu Wu. He wore a purple gold dragon robe and had a valiant figure. He was surrounded by boundless chaotic light, exuding a vast heavenly aura. His face was solemn and dignified. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he looked in the direction of the Jueshio Pavilion. In an instant, they arrived in the sky above Jueshio Pavilion and surrounded the courtyard where Ling Xiao and the others resided. What? It's God King Zhu Wu's aura! Someone exclaimed in surprise. The actions of the God King's estate instantly alarmed many people in the Yin Emperor city. Seeing God King Ju Wu personally leading the experts of the God King's estate towards the Jueshio Pavilion, everyone seemed to have understood something. Is God King Ju Wu finally going to attack Ling Xiao? Someone guessed. Looks like Ling Xiao's strength has indeed made God King Ju Wu unable to sit still. I originally thought that God King Ju Wu would wait for Ling Xiao to personally challenge him. I never thought that God King Ju Wu would make the first move. In Purple Withered Forest, Ling Xiao defeated Blade Demon with a single slash. The shocking combat strength that he displayed is probably comparable to God King Ju Wu. Will Ling Xiao be able to withstand this? Ever since God King Ju Wu became the lord of the Yin Emperor city, he was able to comprehend the great Tao origin. His strength has become unfathomable and cannot be measured by common sense. That's right. I think Ling Xiao is most likely doomed. Everyone was secretly guessing. At the same time, they were incomparably excited and full of anticipation. This battle was incomparably crucial as it would determine the position of the lord of the Yin Emperor city. God King Ju Wu was an ancient sky pride and a three-way king. He had reached the pinnacle of 3 eras and his strength was unfathomable. On the other hand, Ling Xiao was the chosen one of this era. On the Eternal Emperor Road, he was a dazzling existence who had killed the 4 great Emperor city guards. The clash between these two peerless sky prides would definitely be extremely exciting. In the Yin Emperor city, everyone's attention was on the Jueshio Pavilion. In the sky above the courtyard of the Jueshio Pavilion, God King Ju Wu was sitting on a huge dragon throne in the sky. His aura was monstrous, majestic, and mysterious. As he blinked, terrifying killing intent filled the air. Behind him, there were 10 Sir Gods. The auras of the 10 Sir Gods were extremely terrifying. All of them had reached the 9th heaven of Imperial Emperor realm, peerless Imperial Emperors. No one had expected God King Ju Wu to have 10 peerless Imperial Emperors under him. Other than the 10 peerless Imperial Emperors, there were over 100 high-level Imperial Emperors. Each of their auras were as deep as the sea. They stood in the sky and set up a huge battle formation, surrounding the courtyard below. Such a powerful and terrifying force was enough to annihilate everything. The numerous trial takers in the surroundings were all inwardly shocked. Among the 10 Sir Gods, there were many reputable Sky Pride trial takers. No one had expected them to be subdued by God King Ju Wu and become God King Ju Wu's followers. After seeing the 10 Sir Gods, the crowd increasingly felt that Ling Xiao was most likely going to die in this battle. Who are you? How dare you act so presumptuously in Lord Wang's courtyard? Are you guys too arrogant? Or is it because Lord Wang is too weak to wield his saber? An arrogant voice could be heard. From the courtyard, an ancient and mysterious Kuan Peng dashed out. He gave out a ferocious aura and there seemed to be yin and yang Dao rhymes intertwining around him. He stared at God King Ju Wu and the others arrogantly and sneered. Then, Darkness Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian and Yi Liangshan came out too. Other than Ling Xiao who was still in seclusion, the rest of them came out. When they saw God King Ju Wu in the void, they couldn't help but be shocked. Then, they understood what was going on. God King Ju Wu couldn't sit still anymore. However, they had never expected God King Ju Wu to come so quickly. Ling Xiao had been in seclusion for less than a month. Originally, they were still planning how to fight God King Ju Wu after Ling Xiao came out of seclusion and take over the position of the master of Yin Emperor city. They had never expected God King Ju Wu to come straight to their doorstep. Kuan Peng regretted his words the moment he finished speaking. He had never expected God King Ju Wu to come for him. Therefore, even though he was arrogant, his heart was beating fast. Especially when he saw the 10 divine emperors behind God King Ju Wu. They were like 10 dazzling suns. All of them were exuding the aura of divine emperors. Kuan Peng's legs almost turned to jelly. Was this the might of the number 8 on the Tao affirmation board, the 3 ultimate monarch, an ancient sky pride? It was indeed extraordinary. Tell Ling Xiao to come out and accept his death. God King Ju Wu's voice was like thunder. His voice was indifferent. His cold eyes landed on Kuan Peng and the others. They couldn't help but feel their bodies sink. It was as if they were being stared at by some ancient beast. They felt immense pressure. Among them, Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had the highest cultivation. However, they were only at the 8th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. As for Kun Pang and Yi Liangchen, they were only at the 7th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. Faced with 11 peerless sovereign emperors and over 100 high-level sovereign emperors, it was natural for him to feel immense pressure. Among them, God King Ju Wu was the most important. Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's eyes were a little solemn. They felt an immense threat from God King Ju Wu. "Who the hell are you?" Zhao Ritian sneered. He stared at God King Ju Wu from the corner of his eyes. He was very unhappy. Although he knew that the person in front of him was God King Ju Wu, he still asked the obvious. He, Zhao Ritian, had killed Chu Kuang and almost fought with the Blade Demon. He believed that his strength was not weaker than the Sky Prides on the Dao affirmation board. However, God King Ju Wu only had eyes for Ling Xiao. It was as if they were air. Blatant disregard. God King Ju Wu? If you want to see Ling Xiao, you'll have to get through me first. Darkness Ling Xiao said coldly. His eyes were cold and cruel. They were filled with powerful battle intent. Demonic chi rose from his body, revealing a chaotic color. He looked mysterious and unfathomable, making his entire body exude an ancient demonic might. The Chaos Demon Tribe? I didn't expect there to be no Chaos Demon Tribe in this generation. However, your cultivation is too weak. You're no match for me. God King Ju Wu said softly. He looked at Darkness Ling Xiao seriously and recognized the aura of the Chaos Demon Tribe. How would you know if we don't fight? Darkness Ling Xiao sneered. The battle intent in his eyes was getting stronger. Me too. God King Ju Wu, I think you've reached the end of your days as the city lord of Yin Yang Emperor City. Let me teach you how to behave. Zhao Ritian sneered as he took a step forward. The golden glow around his body was dazzling, and a mighty battle intent spread out from him. They felt pressure and threat from God King Ju Wu. However, the more it was so, the more battle intent in their hearts burned. Chaos Demon Tribe? The son of the Heavenly Emperor? The two of you are quite strong. However, you're not worthy to fight with me. 10 great monarchs, play with them. God King Ju Wu said indifferently. 2 dazzling beams of light shot out from his eyes. They pierced through the void and shot towards where Ling Xiao was cultivating in seclusion. He knew that Ling Xiao was probably refining the origin Dao fruit in the 10 white jade treasure boxes. Those were his treasures. He couldn't let them fall into Ling Xiao's hands. Therefore, he didn't waste any more words and brazenly attacked. You're courting death. How dare you? Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian were furious. They were ignored by God King Ju Wu. Moreover, God King Ju Wu wanted to attack Ling Xiao, who was cultivating in seclusion right in front of them. They couldn't take it anymore. Rumble. Terrifying auras erupted from their bodies. One of them had a monstrous demonic aura and chaotic demonic light that engulfed everything. The other had a dazzling golden light and heavenly emperor aura that covered the sky. Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian threw out a punch at God King Ju Wu at the same time. Your opponents are us. Yi Chen of the 10 great monarchs said coldly. He was surrounded by a murderous aura. The 10 great monarchs attacked immediately and stood in front of Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. Even Kun Peng and Yi Liangchen were affected by the attacks of the 10 great monarchs. Damn it! Do you really think that we are easy to bully? Flames of fury were burning in Kun Peng and Yi Liangchen's eyes. They were surrounded by murderous aura and attacked immediately. Although they were only at the 7th heaven of Emperor Realm, the two of them were extremely talented. Their fighting power was heaven-defying and they weren't weaker than a peerless emperor. The bloodline in Kun Peng's body had completely reverted to its ancestor. Not only did it understand the Tao of Yin and Yang, but it could also swallow the heavens and the earth. When it opened its mouth to swallow, it was as though an extremely vast world had descended and it wanted to swallow all living things. Yi Liangchen's body was engraved with the Zhou Tian star formation. As his cultivation became stronger, its power became more terrifying. When the Zhoutian star formation exploded, it was like a vast starry sky that could cover everything. Especially when Yi Liangchen had the body of bad luck. Anyone who dared to go against him would end up in bad luck. Although the 10 great monarchs had the advantage in numbers and they were the 10 peerless emperor realm experts, they seemed to have the upper hand. They had surrounded darkness Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian, Kun Peng and Yi Liangchen. However, it was still unknown who would win the battle. Ling Xiao, get out! King Ju Wu's eyes were filled with murderous aura and his voice was like thunder. In an instant he slapped with his palm and an unparalleled palm print fell. He wanted to smash the courtyard below into dust. The unparalleled power spread and the surrounding people couldn't help but turn pale. However, at that moment, the void shook slightly. It was as though there was an extremely strange power that spread out. King Ju Wu's palm seemed to have stopped in the void and the space seemed to have frozen. The courtyard below moved slightly and the power of King Ju Wu's palm was dissolved completely. A faint yet ethereal voice sounded. King Ju Wu, are you in such a hurry to die? In the courtyard, Ling Xiao walked out. His temperament was extraordinary and his eyes were shining with resplendent starlight. They were deep and bright and they landed on King Ju Wu's body. You are Ling Xiao. What a strong power of space-time. I didn't expect you to have such attainments in the Time Dao origin and Space Dao origin. King Ju Wu stared at Ling Xiao in front of him. His eyes were sharp and bright as though he was getting to know Ling Xiao all over again. Just now, his domineering and fierce palm strike had been easily neutralized by Ling Xiao using the power of time and space. Seeing how Ling Xiao was so relaxed, King Ju Wu's attitude towards Ling Xiao became more serious. Chapter 3256. Ling Xiao's cultivation had reached the 8th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. In his primordial spirit's sea of consciousness, 820 origin Dao fruits were dazzling as they revolved around the indestructible primordial spirit. As for the Heaven Path Pearl, it had become much more illusory. It was obvious that the Heaven Path Pearl had been greatly depleted in order to repair the 100 origin Dao fruits. However, the 100 origin Dao fruits had brought about a huge increase in strength. Even Ling Xiao himself didn't know how strong he was now. Divine King Ju Wu, I have yet to look for you and you have come to die. Very well, I want the position of the master of Yin Yang Emperor City. Ling Xiao looked at Divine King Ju Wu in front of him. His eyes were clear and calm as he wore a faint smile. Ling Xiao's voice was clearly transmitted into everyone's ears. It was calm, but it was like a sudden clap of thunder. It was filled with an indescribable domineering aura, causing everyone to tremble. Outside Jueshio Tower, there were many trial takers watching the upcoming battle. Ling Xiao had come out of seclusion and announced it in such a domineering manner. It was as though he did not care about Divine King Ju Wu and the 10 Sir Gods. Everyone was curious. Where did Ling Xiao get his confidence from? Ling Xiao, you are about to die and you still dare to boast so shamelessly? Whether you live or die, it is not up to you today. It is up to me to decide. Divine King Ju Wu said coldly. It was as though there were 2 divine lamps in his eyes that shot out terrifying light beams. Rumble. A vast aura rose around him, and an ancient and boundless power burst forth, locking onto Ling Xiao. The surrounding void changed and an extremely ancient void battlefield appeared. It was as though there were layers of space separating it from Jueshio Tower. Divine King Ju Wu, Ling Xiao and the others were in the void battlefield. As for the trial takers in Yin Yang Emperor City, although they were still in Yin Yang Emperor City, they could see the scene in the void battlefield clearly. This is the great emperor's battlefield that only the master of the Emperor City can start. Legend has it that it can withstand the power of a great emperor. Being trapped in the great emperor's battlefield, unless Ling Xiao can kill Divine King Ju Wu, he can't escape. Divine King Ju Wu can't escape either. One can only exit from the great emperor's battlefield after drinking blood. Many of the trial challengers couldn't help but feel shocked as they began to discuss amongst themselves. The battlefield of the great emperors? Divine King Ju Wu, you really chose a good grave for yourself. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and took a step towards God King Juwu. Rumble. Chaotic light rose from his body, and indistinct purple-colored primordial energy permeated the air, making him appear ethereal and mysterious. That supremely powerful aura gushed forth, similarly gushing towards God King Juwu. When their auras clashed, it was like the might of the heavens, incomparably terrifying. Ling Xiao and Ju Wu both understood that they had a reason to kill each other, so they couldn't be bothered to feign civility or find any excuses. After all, it was a fight to the death. This guy stole the limelight again. Zhao Ritian mumbled. The truth was, he also wanted to fight Divine King Juwu. This was the legendary Three Absolutes monarch, a peerless genius ranked 8th on the Dao confirmation list. His strength was unfathomable, so he would be a great challenge for Zhao Ritian. When you break through to the unparalleled Emperor realm, you might be able to fight Divine King Juwu. But now, you might not be his match. If Ling Xiao fights Divine King Juwu, it will be the same even if we kill these 10 great Sir Gods. Dark Ling Xiao said slowly, his eyes were filled with cold and cruel killing intent. Who's afraid of who? Demon Master, why don't we compete again today? Let's see who has killed more of these 10 great Sir Gods. Zhao Ritian smiled proudly as he glanced at Dark Ling Xiao, seemingly eager to have a go. As you wish. Yap Liangchen, Kun Peng, the two of you be careful. If you die, we won't have time to save you. Dark Ling Xiao said indifferently, then looked at Yap Liangchen and Kun Peng. Who are you looking down on? Aren't they just the 10 great Sir Gods? It's not like I haven't killed them before. Yap Liangchen smiled proudly. That's right. Watch me show my prowess today and kill the unparalleled Emperor realm. Kun Peng sneered. Although Divine King Juwu looked ferocious, he had brought 10 great Sir Gods and hundreds of high-level emperors with him. He looked as though he was going to kill Dark Ling Xiao and the rest. However, Kun Peng and Dark Ling Xiao had experienced countless dangers in the chaotic wilderness. Many of the battles they had faced were scarier than this. They had once been chased by a group of ancient beasts and there were at least hundreds of them. Compared to those experiences, what they were facing now was just a small matter. No matter what, they couldn't lose in terms of momentum. Kill! Zhao Ritian and Dark Ling Xiao looked at each other and their eyes were filled with killing intent. At the same time, they charged towards the 10 great Sir Gods. Zhao Ritian's body was glowing with golden light. He unleashed the Heavenly Emperor's fist with one hand and the Heavenly Dao Emperor sword with the other. The aura around him was extremely sharp and vast Emperor's power exploded as though it was going to destroy everything. As for Dark Ling Xiao, it was as though he had transformed into a chaotic demonic flame. The flame was raging and it could burn everything. At the same time, it contained boundless killing intent and it headed towards the 10 great Sir Gods' sea of consciousness. The two of them were like two blazing torrents that soared across the sky and they were unstoppable. Yap Liangchen and Kun Peng followed closely behind. However, their target wasn't the 10 great Sir Gods but the hundreds of high-level emperors around them. After killing the hundreds of high-level emperors, they would fight against the 10 great Sir Gods together. Although there were only 4 of them, they unleashed an invincible aura that resembled an army charging forward. Kill them and help the Divine King to kill Dark Ling Xiao. There was a flash of killing intent in Sir God Yichen's eyes and he pointed at Dark Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian and the other 2. Yes. The 9 Sir Gods next to him and the hundreds of high-level emperors around them replied loudly. Their eyes were filled with killing intent and their auras were terrifying. In an instant they charged out. Rumble. An extremely intense battle broke out in an instant. In the Great Emperor's battlefield, there were various mysterious scenes. It was as though it was a real world but it was very sturdy and it could accommodate a battle between Emperor experts. However, the battle between them was as though it could destroy heaven and earth. It caused the surrounding void to tremble vigorously. Countless mountains and rivers were destroyed and the sea surged. It was as though the world was about to be destroyed. Dark Ling Xiao and Divine King Juwu still didn't take action. As their auras clashed, it was as though a vast storm was raging and there were various terrifying auras. The two of them seemed to be in the middle of the storm. There was a materialized light in their eyes and the killing intent around them grew stronger. Divine King Ju Wu, take my punch. Dark light filled Ling Xiao's body and there was a bright light that shot out from his eyes. An extremely strong fist intention was unleashed and it caused Ling Xiao's aura to soar to the extreme. At that moment, Ling Xiao threw out a punch. The unparalleled fist intention seemed to be able to fill up heaven and earth. It contained an unparalleled divine power that could destroy heaven and earth as it pressed down on Divine King Ju Wu. This was the pure power of Ling Xiao's physical body. The aura around him was like the rising of chaos. It was vast and every strand of aura seemed to be able to crush the heavens. Ling Xiao's primordial immortal body was at the great completion stage and he could easily unleash a blow that could destroy heaven and earth. Good timing. Divine King Ju Wu's eyes were filled with fighting intent. When Ling Xiao threw out a punch, he moved as well. Rumble. There was an ancient and desolate aura that erupted from Divine King Ju Wu's body. It was as though an ancient divine king was about to descend. It was a monstrous aura that could dominate the heavens and devour the universe. Even though Divine King Ju Wu stood there, he gave off a feeling that he could push open the chaos and split the heavens and earth apart. He contained boundless power. An extremely strong fist print pressed down from the sky. It was ferocious and overbearing. Heaven devouring Divine King Ju Wu's divine fist. Along with Divine King Ju Wu's roar, that horrifying fist print exploded out like a sun and collided with Ling Xiao. Rumble. It was as though dozens of suns had exploded at the same time. In that instant, an endless amount of blazing light was released. A formless ripple spread out in all directions, causing the void to vibrate violently and distort. Ling Xiao and Divine King Ju Wu shuddered as they were sent flying back. To think that they would be evenly matched with each other. To think that a mere human could refine his physical body to this extent? Very good. I've got to see just how many punches you can take from me. Divine King Ju Wu's eyes revealed a look of surprise. Instantly, they turned incomparably cold. His aura rose as his fist intent grew more and more horrifying. It slammed down on Ling Xiao as though it could destroy everything. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes were resolute. With a simple roar, he charged towards Divine King Ju Wu once more. Through that exchange of fists, Ling Xiao could tell that Divine King Ju Wu's physical body was the strongest he had ever seen. In fact, even the physical bodies of ancient beasts couldn't compare to Divine King Ju Wu's physical body. Divine King Ju Wu's body was filled with an indestructible ripple. It was as tough as diamond and could destroy everything. Ling Xiao could feel the strong rebounding force. However, Ling Xiao's physical body was the primordial immortal body formed from the fusion of two chaos treasures and the primordial immortal qi. As Ling Xiao refined more and more origin Dao fruits, he realized that his primordial immortal body was becoming more and more indestructible. Facing Divine King Ju Wu before him, Ling Xiao was even more excited. He was filled with an incomparably strong battle intent. Boom, boom, boom. Ling Xiao and Divine King Ju Wu threw out hundreds of punches in an instant. Every punch contained the unparalleled might that could kill an imperial emperor. Thunderous booms reverberated through the void, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. The two of them seemed to have turned into two terrifying storms that clashed continuously in the void. Although they were separated by the great emperor's battlefield, the cultivators in Yin-Yang Imperial City could still feel the terrifying shockwaves from the battle. It made their hearts tremble. Divine King Ju Wu's physical body is extremely strong. His fist intent is unparalleled. The Divine King Ju Wu's divine fist is known as the #1 fist Dao in the world. He once killed a peerless imperial emperor with a single punch. Ling Xiao is only an 8th heaven imperial emperor. How can he block such a ferocious attack from Divine King Ju Wu? The strength of a mere human's physical body is unbelievable. Someone's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with shock. Divine King Ju Wu hadn't become the lord of Yin-Yang Imperial City by luck. He had gone through numerous battles and had even killed more than one peerless imperial emperor. Many of the cultivators in Yin-Yang Imperial City had seen Divine King Ju Wu in action before. His divine King Ju Wu's divine fist, in particular, had left a deep impression on them. Even though that overbearing and horrifying fist insight was very far away, it was still capable of injuring an imperial monarch. This clearly showed how terrifying it was. It seems like Ling Xiao didn't become the chosen child by luck. He was able to kill the 4 great Emperor City's guardians because of his strength. That's right. The battle for the Eternal Emperor's path has reached its most critical juncture. The Lord of the 12 Imperial Cities will be of great help to the final Void Realm. All the Sky Pride cultivators want to fight for the position of Lord of the 12 Imperial Cities. I'm afraid it's hard to say who will win today's battle between Divine King Ju Wu and Ling Xiao. This is a battle between the strongest Sky Prides on the Dao confirmation list. Who knows? They might become 2 peerless imperial emperors in the future. It's our honor to be able to witness this battle. Everyone was deeply moved. The battle between Ling Xiao and Divine King Ju Wu had opened their eyes. Both Ling Xiao and Divine King Ju Wu were extremely fast. They left behind afterimages in the void, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Asterisk clang. Asterisk Ling Xiao's fist was like a dragon. After breaking through Divine King Ju Wu's arms, it slammed into Divine King Ju Wu's chest. The sound of metal clashing rang out, as if it had hit a hard diamond. Sparks flew in all directions. Divine King Ju Wu roared. A terrifying sound wave rushed towards Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. He took Ling Xiao's punch head-on and similarly punched towards Ling Xiao's head. At the same time, his other hand turned into a claw and went straight for Ling Xiao's heart. The head was where the indestructible primordial spirit was located, while the heart was where the source of life was located. Regardless of whether it was the head being smashed or the heart being ripped out, it was an extremely serious injury even for an Imperial Emperor expert. There was a sharp gleam in Ling Xiao's eyes as his fist suddenly swept out, colliding with God King Juno's fist. There was a thunderous boom. At the same time, Ling Xiao moved forward and pointed a finger at Divine King Ju Wu's forehead. The sharp finger radiance was like a sword chi, as if it could pierce through everything. Even God King Ju Wu felt threatened by it. Divine King Ju Wu's eyes burned with killing intent when he saw that Ling Xiao had given up on defending his heart. His claw light sped up. At the same time, he tilted his head and a stone-like golden crystal appeared, blocking Ling Xiao's finger light. Boom! Ju No God King grabbed at Ling Xiao's heart, but in that instant, a blazing light exploded from his palm. It was like a chain of order, wrapping around Ju No God King's arm. At the same time, Ling Xiao's sharp finger fell, causing the void to distort violently. It pierced the golden crystal. Chapter 3257. Kacha. A crack appeared on the golden crystal. Ling Xiao's entire body erupted with blazing primal chaos light. Purple chi rose. He flipped his hand and grabbed Ju No God King's arm. Then he kicked Ju No God King's head. There was a sonic boom in the void. If Ling Xiao's kick landed, even an immemorial sacred mountain would explode. Ju No God King snorted coldly. Blazing flames rose from his arm, incinerating the divine chains of order. At the same time, the flames spread towards Ling Xiao's arm. His other hand formed an invincible fist imprint and sent it towards Ling Xiao's calf. Boom! Ling Xiao's foot moved to the side and collided with Ju No God King's fist imprint. The two separated instantly and flew backwards. Kill! But in an instant, Ling Xiao and Ju No God King roared at the same time and charged towards each other again. Rumble! Their attacks were extremely fast, leaving behind afterimages in the void. Every strike was like a thunderbolt, causing the void to rumble and tremble. Ju No God King's physical body was also extremely strong. His entire body was one with the elements, emitting a dark golden light. A sharp aura burst out, as if it could destroy everything. In an instant, they had exchanged over 1,000 blows. It was purely a clash of physical bodies. Every punch landed on the flesh. It was the most intense and dangerous battle. But in the end, Ling Xiao seemed to be at a disadvantage. Gradually, he could only defend himself and no longer retaliate. Rumble! A terrifying aura gushed forth from Ju Wu God King, as though he wanted to devour the primordial chaos and destroy the void. His heaven-devouring good fortune Ju Wu God punches rained down on Ling Xiao unceasingly. Every single punch was like a gigantic hammer, slamming into Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's arms, legs, and body had all suffered from a storm of attacks, causing his aura to become somewhat weak. Is Ling Xiao going to lose? As expected, no one can withstand Ju No God King's heaven-devouring divine fists. Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Everyone could see that Ling Xiao could only use his arms to protect his head, passively receiving Ju Wu's terrifying attack. The tyrannical fist intent seemed to be able to annihilate everything. It contained the most terrifying killing intent. Even an ancient giant beast would have exploded after receiving so many punches. However, Ling Xiao seemed to be incomparably tenacious. Even though he was unable to counterattack, he was still able to protect his vitals, blocking the thousands and thousands of fists of Ju Wu. No. My heaven-devouring creation absolute void divine fist can suppress the heavens. It's ferocious and domineering to the extreme. He definitely won't be able to block the power of so many punches. However, although his aura is weak, he doesn't seem to have suffered any serious injuries. There can only be one reason: he's using me to temper his body. God King Juno's eyes flashed with a cold light as he guessed everything. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. Killing intent surged in Ju No Divine King's eyes. This was the fury and killing intent of being used and ignored. He unleashed a devastating punch that slammed into Ling Xiao's chest. Boom! Ling Xiao's chest caved in instantly, but strangely, no blood flowed out. He was sent flying like a cannonball. You finally reacted. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his eyes bright and resplendent. Where was the slightest bit of dejection? Rumble! Purple chi rose around him, flowing through his entire body. Chaotic light spewed out, causing his blood to surge violently. His entire being exuded an incomparably terrifying fluctuation. Something incomparably mysterious seemed to be condensing behind him. Ling Xiao was indeed using Ju No Divine King's fist intent to temper his body. Godly monarch Ju Wu's body was even stronger than that of a primordial beast. Ling Xiao had refined the 100 origin Dao fruits and assimilated the origin power into his body. He needed to borrow external forces to refine his primordial immortal body to the next level. And this God King Ju Wu in front of him was naturally the best choice. After tens of thousands of punches, the origin energy within Ling Xiao's body had been completely tempered. His physical body had also improved significantly, and his aura had become even more unfathomable. Ju No Divine King, to thank you for helping me temper my body, why don't you take a punch from me? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Boom! Without waiting for Ju No Divine King's reply, he threw a punch at Ju No Divine King. The punch seemed light and gave off an otherworldly aura. Like flowing water, it was incomparably soft as it blasted towards Ju No Divine King's head. However, in Ju No Divine King's eyes, the punch was like a vast chaotic world. It made him feel like an ordinary ant, filled with a sense of powerlessness. He could only watch as the punch came crashing down on him. What? A punch that can disturb the primordial spirit and soul? Ju No Divine King's expression turned incomparably solemn. Terrifying origin energy surged around him, and at the same time, his indestructible primordial spirit shone with resplendent light. Boundless Xianhuang Qi emanated from him, finally gathering on his fist as he met Ling Xiao's punch. He could see very clearly that Ling Xiao's punch was purely physical strength. However, his physical strength was so strong that it could cause illusions to appear in his primordial spirit and soul. Even the origin Dao fruit within him resonated with it. This punch was terrifying to the extreme. Could it be that he's already touched upon that step? Ju No Divine King's heart trembled as he thought to himself. Boom! The two fists collided, and a terrifying shockwave spread out. However, Ju No Divine King's arm trembled violently, and Xianhuang blood light suddenly emanated from it. Ling Xiao's punch had broken through Ju No Divine King's Xianhuang fist, and then landed heavily on Zhu No Divine King's chest. Gotcha. It was as if several layers of incomparably mysterious energy had surged into Zhu No Divine King's body, causing him to tremble violently. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his chest caved in. His entire body was sent flying out. My physical body is about to reach perfection. Ling Xiao exhaled deeply. He didn't look at Zhu No Divine King, but a faint trace of joy appeared on his face. Zhu No Divine King lost? Everyone's hearts trembled. They had personally witnessed Ling Xiao send Zhu No Divine King flying with a single punch. Zhu No Divine King's entire body trembled, and his chest caved in. He had suffered heavy injuries. Zhu No Divine King spat out blood. Even though the battle wasn't over yet, the scales in everyone's hearts were already tipping. Physical Dao Spirit. No, you haven't reached that step yet. What a terrifying fist technique. Ling Xiao, it seems I've underestimated you. Zhu No Divine King wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were incomparably cold as he stared at Ling Xiao, and an incomparably terrifying aura emanated from him. The Dao Spirit realm can only be encountered by chance. However, I can feel the aura of a Dao Spirit from your body. I believe you must have condensed a Dao Spirit, right? I wonder if it's the primordial spirit Dao Spirit, the origin Dao Spirit, or the heart Dao Spirit. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as he stared at Zhu No Divine King with interest. A ninth heaven imperial emperor was also known as a peerless imperial emperor. Although a peerless imperial emperor had the chance to undergo the emperor tribulation and break through to the unparalleled emperor realm, the chances were extremely slim. Perhaps out of tens of thousands of peerless imperial emperors, there might not even be one who could prove their Dao as a great emperor. However, at the ninth heaven imperial emperor realm, one could continue to improve, accumulate foundation, and refine the physical body, primordial spirit, origin, and spirit. If these four were perfected, one would be able to condense four great Dao spirits. Experts who condense Dao spirits would have a much higher chance of proving their Dao as a great emperor. According to legends, those who condensed four great Dao spirits would definitely be able to prove their Dao as a great emperor. There were even some ancient sky prides who could go against the flow and fight against great emperors because of their powerful Dao spirits. However, condensing a Dao spirit was too difficult. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. It was not much harder than proving one's Dao as a great emperor. Since ancient times, those who could condense a Dao spirit at the ninth heaven imperial emperor realm were all peerless imperial geniuses. They were extremely rare. For example, the Great Void Imperial Emperor and the Heavenly Emperor were naturally such figures. Zhu No Divine King in front of Ling Xiao had a perfect aura. He must have condensed a Dao spirit. Otherwise, without a Dao spirit, he would at most have the combat strength of someone like the Saber Demon. There was not much difference. If that's the case, I'm afraid most of the top 10 sky prides on the Dao affirmation list should have condensed a Dao spirit. Ling Xiao thought to himself, "You actually know about Dao spirits? As for whether I have condensed a Dao spirit, it depends on whether you have the ability to discover it." Killing intent flashed in Zhu No Divine King's eyes. Terrifying blood chi rose from his body as he charged towards Ling Xiao. He was extremely wary of Ling Xiao. Even if Ling Xiao had not condensed a Dao spirit, he was probably not far away. Such a threat had to be eliminated. He had already decided to kill Ling Xiao at all costs. Rumble. Mysterious yellow chi surged around Zhu No Divine King's body. It was as vast as the sea. With a single thought from Zhu No Divine King, it instantly pressed down on Ling Xiao. He slashed down with his palm. His saber intent was unparalleled. In an instant, it turned into a peerless saber aura that slashed down on Ling Xiao. Zhu No Divine King's physical body, indestructible primordial spirit, and origin energy erupted at the same time. His entire being became completely berserk. So what if you've condensed a Dao spirit? Since you won't tell me, I'll kill you until you do. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were like steel as he leaped towards Zhu No Divine King. He punched out in the air. The chaotic light was unparalleled as it collided with the saber aura. An even more intense battle broke out. This time, both Zhu No Divine King and Ling Xiao attacked with all their might. They did not hold back at all. They exploded with their strongest combat strength as they fought each other, aiming for each other's vital points. At this moment, Zhao Ritian's Heavenly Emperor fist smashed the heart of a Sir God. At the same time, the Heavenly Emperor sword exploded with boundless sword chi, turning the Sir God into dust. Darkness Ling Xiao also used the chaotic demon flame to burn a Sir God into ashes. Two peerless imperial emperors died in the hands of Zhao Ritian and Darkness Ling Xiao in the blink of an eye. Kun Peng and Yi Liangchen also gained the upper hand in the battle against the hundreds of high-level imperial emperors. Especially with Kun Peng's extreme speed and Yi Liangchen's Zhou Tian star formation, they separated the high-level imperial emperors from the battle formation and continuously reaped their lives. Watching the great battle between Ling Xiao and Zhu Wu, they were all pumped up as well. Their morale skyrocketed as they unleashed a heaven-defying battle strength. Rumble! Ling Xiao and Zhu No Divine King clashed more than 100 times in the blink of an eye. Both of them were truly enraged. Every strike was like a meteor falling from the sky. It was as if chaos was being split apart. Chaotic light rose around Ling Xiao's body. At the same time, the power of time and space intertwined, enveloping Zhu No Divine King. Then he pointed a finger at Zhu No Divine King's mind. Freeze! The moment the words were spoken, it was as if the vast might of heaven and earth was about to descend. Zhu No Divine King seemed to be frozen in place. At the same time, Ling Xiao's finger landed on Zhu No Divine King's forehead. Boom! Zhu No Divine King's forehead spewed out a blazing light. The vast power of heaven and earth around him surged like an ocean, enveloping Ling Xiao within it. At the same time, streams of power of heaven and earth intertwined with divine chains of order, wrapping around Ling Xiao's body. Didn't you want to know what kind of Dao spirit I condensed? As you wish. Zhu No Divine King stared at Ling Xiao and said coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. Behind him, a mysterious figure appeared. It looked extremely similar to Zhu No Divine King, but it exuded a vast amount of origin energy. Vaguely, it seemed as if there were thousands of stars twinkling, dazzling to the extreme. Those divine chains of order seemed to have materialized, wrapping around Ling Xiao's body, making it impossible for him to break free. Origin Dao Spirit. You are a Dao robber? Ling Xiao's body trembled, his eyes shining with a cold light like a blade. The Dao spirits behind Zhu No Divine King were clearly formed from origin energy. Zhu No Divine King's Dao origin had already reached the Great Perfection realm. However, Ling Xiao could see that there were thousands of origin energy intertwined on those Dao spirits. Those were thousands of origin Dao fruits. If Zhu No Divine King could condense so many origin Dao fruits, then his identity was obvious. A Dao robber. Zhu No Divine King was actually a Dao robber. Correct. But you still have to die. Zhu No Divine King laughed coldly, and then punched at Ling Xiao's head. Gotcha. At the same time, in the surging chi of heaven and earth, a black saber radiance slashed down from the sky. It was majestic and mysterious, containing a dark and ancient power, as if it came from hell, hiding between illusion and reality. It slashed down towards Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness between his eyebrows. Forbidden Blade. Ling Xiao didn't need to think to know that Blade Demon had appeared. Blade Demon had been hiding in the dark, waiting with Zhu No Divine King to deal a fatal blow to Ling Xiao. But this was not the end. At the same time, Ling Xiao felt a third wave of killing intent. It was a black axe light that seemed to be able to split open the chaos, rising from the Xianhuang Qi, exuding a torrential killing intent as it charged at Ling Xiao. The three ultimate killing intents locked onto Ling Xiao and were about to deal a fatal blow. Chapter 3258. Ling Xiao was facing the greatest danger he had ever faced since he entered Eternal Emperor Road. Zhu Wu God King had formed his origin Dao spirit. Taking Ling Xiao by surprise, he unleashed his Origin Dao Spirit's divine aura to imprison him. As for Blade Demon, who was hiding in the dark, he took out his Avicii Hell's God-burying saber. The god-slaying saber slashed across the sky, as though it possessed the power to destroy the heavens and earth. It wanted to slice Ling Xiao's primordial spirit in half. More importantly, Ling Xiao did not expect there to be a third killing move. That black axe radiance seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. Surrounded by chaotic light, its power was incomparably terrifying. Its owner's aura was not much weaker than Ju Wu God King. The three utmost powerful beings had been waiting for this very moment to kill Ling Xiao completely. Die! Ju Wu God King's face was incomparably malevolent. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He believed that Ling Xiao would not be able to avoid this killing move. Thousands of divine chains of order formed by the Origin Dao Spirit enveloped Ling Xiao completely, while Ju Wu's unparalleled fist landed on Ling Xiao's head with a loud bang. Boom! The void trembled. Ju Wu God King's fist was ferocious and domineering. It blasted Ling Xiao's head apart, causing streaks of blood light to spread out. Immediately after, Blade Demon's forbidden saber landed on Ling Xiao's forehead. The blazing saber radiance tore through his consciousness and slashed towards his indestructible primordial spirit. In the end, the black light from the axe descended, and a peerlessly violent aura tore through everything. It directly struck Ling Xiao's head and slashed him into two. Boom! In the void, a rain of blood filled the air. Ling Xiao's entire body exploded into pieces. Is he dead? Blade Demon revealed his true form and muttered to himself as he stared at the rain of blood. Beside him was the heroic divine King Ju Wu, as well as a burly bald man dressed in beast skin. He was also the owner of the Black Axe. Three incomparably terrifying auras spread out in all directions, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Ling Xiao is really dead? Everyone was stunned. None of them had expected that the battle between Ju No God King and Ling Xiao would have so many twists and turns. Yet another two utmost powerful beings had appeared and were trying to kill Ling Xiao at the same time. Those two, they seemed to be Blade Demon and Battle Axe, the City Lord of Celestial War City? Someone recognized the identity of the Blade Demon and the Bald Man and was extremely shocked. That should be it. Who would have thought that this divine King Ju Wu would be so despicable? I thought that he would have a fair fight with Ling Xiao, but I didn't think that he would set up a trap. He had already brought Blade Demon and Battle Axe to hide at the side, waiting for this chance to kill. Ling Xiao is dead for sure. He was hit by the Forbidden Blade and had his body destroyed by Ju Wu Shenwang and the Battle Axe. There's no way he can survive. Everyone sighed softly. Their eyes were filled with pity. You really don't know what death is. Dark Ling Xiao turned around and sneered. His eyes were full of disdain. Although Zhao Ritian was also extremely worried, he was trapped by the Tensor gods and couldn't break free. However, Darkness Ling Xiao knew that Ling Xiao wasn't dead. He wasn't even seriously injured. As Ling Xiao's darkness doppelganger, he could clearly feel Ling Xiao's exuberant vitality. It was like a raging fire that could burn everything. No, he's not dead yet. Ju No God's body suddenly shook and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Rumble. The blood mist in front of the three of them rose and boundless vitality essence exploded. All the flesh and blood gathered together and vaguely, it seemed to be condensing into a human figure. I'd like to see how many times he can withstand being destroyed. Battle Axe's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Instantly, he held the black giant axe in his hand and slashed down at Ling Xiao. The giant axe radiance was brutal and overbearing. It was extremely sharp and it slashed down mightily as though it was going to split the heavens and earth into two. That's right. He's already at the end of his rope. Kill him. Blade Demon gritted his teeth and the demonic aura around him filled the sky. The ancient saber in his hand exuded a strong emperor's aura and he slashed at Ling Xiao again. Ju Wu God King didn't hesitate at all as he unleashed his heaven-devouring good fortune Ju Wu God Fist. The unparalleled fist imprint was like an immemorial godly mountain, as though it could crush everything as it blasted towards Ling Xiao. Boom! As expected, Ling Zhao's body, which hadn't fully condensed, exploded into a blood mist again. The forbidden saber slashed down, and it was as though it had destroyed the primordial spirit power that was contained within. Primordial spirit was destroyed and the body was destroyed. If one could still survive after that, it would be too terrifying. After all, even if an Emperor Realm expert could be reborn from a single drop of blood, there was a limit to it. If the indestructible primordial spirit and life origin were destroyed, even an Emperor Realm expert would die without a doubt. Rumble. In the void, blood rained down as though there wasn't any life left. However, what made Juno God King, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe's expressions change drastically was that the blood rain seemed to have a mind of its own. It slowly gathered together again, trying to condense into a human figure. What? This time, Juno God King, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe's expressions all changed. The strangeness in front of them had exceeded their imagination. Ling Xiao was obviously imprisoned by Juno God King before his body was destroyed. Even his indestructible primordial spirit was destroyed by the forbidden saber. Ling Zhao's entire body exploded into a blood rain. If it was any other Emperor Realm expert, they would have died long ago. However, after Ling Zhao's body exploded, his flesh and blood gathered again and again. Moreover, his life origin was as boundless as the sea, as though it wasn't affected at all. Kill! Juno God King, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe's eyes were filled with murderous intent. The terrifying aura around them seemed to be able to destroy everything. They used their strongest killing techniques and attacked Ling Xiao continuously. They even took out their natal true flames in an attempt to burn Ling Zhao's flesh and blood into nothingness. However, the strange thing was that Ling Zhao's flesh and blood were destroyed time and time again, but they gathered again and again. Moreover, the speed at which they gathered was getting faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, Ling Zhao's flesh and blood were destroyed 9 times. However, the boundless life origin was still growing. Its aura was terrifying to the extreme. Juno God King, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe felt an extremely strong sense of danger in their hearts. The surrounding people were also shocked by the scene before them. Ling Xiao seemed to have an immortal body. He was destroyed time and time again, but he gathered his body again and again. This change was beyond their imagination. How could this be? Isn't Ling Xiao too awesome? Kuan Peng and Yiliangchen also widened their eyes in disbelief. Immortal body. This is simply an immortal body. I must get High Heaven Sect to teach me how to condense an immortal body. Kuan Peng shouted excitedly. His eyes were filled with excitement and envy. He was cursing Ling Xiao in his heart. That bastard Ling Xiao actually knew this move, but he did not teach him. If he, Kuan Peng, also knew about the immortal body, he would not be in such a miserable state in the chaotic wilderness. Immortal body? Not good. Stuff. He wants to borrow our strength to gather a Tao spirit of his flesh and blood. Juno God King's body shook. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He could not help but shudder and quickly shouted, Tao spirit of his flesh and blood? Blade Demon and Battle Axe could not help but be shocked. They quickly stopped attacking Ling Xiao and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Gathering a Tao spirit of his flesh and blood meant that his flesh and blood had been cultivated to the extreme. It had reached the complete realm. Under certain circumstances, it would possess an immortal power that was comparable to the body of a great emperor. However, gathering a Tao spirit of his flesh and blood was easier said than done. Among the 4 Taos of flesh, primordial spirit, origin, and spirit, the Tao spirit of his flesh and blood was the most difficult to gather. It was even more difficult than the Tao spirit of his heart. Ling Xiao was only a mere 8th heaven imperial lord. He was not even a peerless imperial lord. How could he gather a Tao spirit of his flesh and blood? Blade Demon and Battle Axe were ancient sky prides. Their hearts were filled with shock and jealousy. Rumble. Suddenly, a void flame burned fiercely in front of them. The bloody mist that filled the sky was enveloped by the flames of nothingness. At the same time, an incomparably majestic aura of life erupted. The void shook and chaos rose. Within the void flame, flesh and blood gathered. The life origin surged endlessly like an ocean. Moreover, divine chains of order intertwined. Thousands of Tao sounds rose and a mysterious phenomenon appeared. It seemed like a jade plate was floating in the chaos, swallowing and spitting out 3,000 Tao origins. Ling Xiao's flesh and blood body slowly condensed from the void flame. Behind Ling Xiao, an incomparably illusory figure appeared. It looked very similar to Ling Xiao, but its entire body was filled with blood light. It contained a vast power of extreme yang. Ling Xiao was reborn from the void flame. He opened his eyes. In an instant, 2 blazing beams of light pierced through the void and shot towards Blade Demon. Blade Demon's expression changed. He raised his saber to block. The saber buzzed as if it had been hit by an unparalleled divine force, sending him flying. Ling Xiao bathed in the void flame. Chaotic qi surged around his body. 3,000 Tao laws lingered around him. His black hair fluttered in the wind. His gaze was sharp and deep. His entire body emitted an indescribably mysterious and powerful aura. It was as if a great emperor had awakened from a deep slumber. The vast aura rose, and an incomparably terrifying emperor's aura spread. It caused the entire great emperor's battlefield to tremble violently. Then, it resonated as if it was welcoming the arrival of a great emperor. Thank you for helping me condense a Tao spirit of my flesh and blood body. Ling Xiao said indifferently. His voice was incomparably calm. However, when his voice reached Juno Divine King, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe's ears, it exploded like thunder. The 3 of them could not help but change their expressions. Their gazes instantly became extremely gloomy. Looking at the Tao spirits behind Ling Xiao, they understood that Ling Xiao had really condensed a Tao spirit of his flesh and blood body. A Tao spirit of the flesh and blood body, forming a world of its own. It can control the might of heaven and earth. To a certain extent, it's not inferior to a great emperor's flesh and blood body. Ling Xiao thought to himself. There was a faint hint of joy in his eyes. His risk was worth it. Ling Xiao had long known that Juno Divine King would not fight him fairly. He must have been hiding something. Especially when he sensed that Juno Divine King had condensed an origin Tao spirit, Ling Xiao decided to beat him at his own game. His physical body was just a step away from the great perfection realm. However, with the strength of his physical body, it was almost impossible for him to shatter it and reconstruct it. Although Juno Divine King's physical body was strong, he could not shatter Ling Xiao's physical body and reconstruct it. All he could do was refine Ling Xiao's physical body slightly. However, the appearance of Blade Demon and Battle Axe made Ling Xiao decide in an instant. He would use the power of the 3 supreme experts to create a Tao spirit of his flesh and blood body. This process was obviously extremely dangerous. If he was not careful, Ling Xiao would probably die in the hands of the 3 supreme experts. However, after going through 9 shatters and 9 reconstructions, his physical body was finally flawless. He had condensed a Tao spirit of his flesh and blood body. My focus on my physical body was not in vain. Now that my physical body has finally broken through to the extreme, it has evolved to the extreme. Ling Xiao thought to himself. He felt that his entire body was filled with boundless energy. It was as if his entire body had become one with the chaotic void. However, he also existed independently of the chaos. Every breath he took seemed to be able to swallow the chaotic energy and turn it into the energy of his physical body. Now that he had condensed a perfect leakless true body, his physical body had developed spirituality. It was like the revolution of the heavenly way, growing and multiplying endlessly. It would only grow stronger and stronger. Damn it! Juno Divine King, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe's faces were extremely ugly. Their eyes were filled with anger and jealousy. Although they were angry that they were used by Ling Xiao, they were even more jealous of Ling Xiao's creation. After all, even Blade Demon and Battle Axe had yet to condense a Tao spirit. Especially Battle Axe, who cultivated the great Tao of the physical body. His physical body was extremely strong and was not weaker than Ju No Divine King. Back in Emperor's Road of Eternity, he could use the strength of his physical body to tear an ancient beast apart. However, he was also stuck at the bottleneck of his physical body and could not condense a Tao spirit of his flesh and blood body. Ling Xiao, don't be arrogant. So what if you have condensed a Tao spirit of your flesh and blood body? Today, in the battlefield of the great emperors, you will still die. Ju No Divine King's eyes were filled with killing intent. His fear of Ling Xiao had reached its peak. Ling Xiao must die. Otherwise, if Ling Xiao continued to grow, they would all become his stepping stones. For example, Ju No Divine King, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe, which one of them was not a peerless sky pride of an era. They all had their own pride and were unwilling to fall behind others. In the face of such a powerful threat, they must kill all of them. Ju No Divine King believed that with the three of their powerful combat strength, even if Ling Xiao had condensed a Tao spirit of his flesh and blood body, they would still be able to put up a fight. It seems like you know nothing about the strength of a Tao spirit of your flesh and blood body. In that case, as repayment, I will let you die under the crushing power of a Tao spirit of my flesh and blood body. Ling Xiao sighed softly. As soon as his voice fell, his figure flashed and a fist came crashing down on Ju No Divine King, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe. Chapter 3259. Rumble. The moment Ling Xiao struck out, a chaotic light shone around him. An ancient and desolate energy burst forth, as though a chaos god was about to descend. That tyrannical and terrifying aura caused the surrounding void to distort violently. Shockwaves blasted outwards. Ling Xiao's physical body seemed to have broken through the boundaries of time and space. His speed was extremely fast as he traversed through time and space. In an instant, he appeared before Ju Wu God King, Blade Demon, and War Axe. He punched out, and that punch was surrounded by 3,000 worlds. It seemed to have surpassed the speed of light. All sorts of mysterious illusions appeared in the surroundings, and the void began to collapse as it pressed down on Ju Wu God King. Not good. Ju Wu God King's heart skipped a beat. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He could feel a fatal threat from Ling Xiao's punch. Heaven-devouring fortune absolute God fist. Ju Wu God King roared. His blood and chi surged around him, and the power of heaven and earth surged like an ocean. It turned into an earth-shattering heaven and earth fist imprint and went up against Ling Xiao. Boom! Crack! The void trembled, and an incomparably crisp sound rang out. Ju Wu God King felt an intense pain assaulting him. His arm was destroyed as though it was rotten wood. His flesh and his incomparably tough bones all exploded at the same time. Ling Xiao's punch did not slow down, and it landed heavily on Ju Wu God King's chest. Bang! Ju Wu Divine King felt as if his internal organs had turned into dust. His entire body trembled violently. His chest had been pierced through by Ling Xiao, and a huge bloody hole appeared. Yellow blood spurted out from it. His body trembled violently, and he was sent flying. What? Blade Demon and War Axe's faces changed drastically, and their hearts pounded violently. Ling Xiao's punch was too terrifying. It had exceeded their imaginations. The aftershock of the punch made their bodies tense up, as though they had been sliced by a blade. That fatal threat enveloped their entire bodies, causing them to frantically retreat, wanting to distance themselves from Ling Xiao. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes were like steel. He didn't even look at Ju Wu. He broke through the void like a chaotic demon god. His body was enveloped by a terrifying aura. He punched out with both fists towards Blade Demon and Giant Axe at the same time. Ling Xiao's speed was too fast. After condensing his physical body, his body seemed to have undergone a qualitative change. Not only was his strength peerless, but his speed was also extremely fast. He could directly traverse the void. Even time lost its meaning before his extreme speed. Blade Demon and Battle Axe were unable to shake off Ling Xiao. Instead, Ling Xiao appeared in front of them in an instant. Avicii Hell's God-burying saber. Chaos Heaven-Cleaving Axe. Both Blade Demon and Tomahawk gritted their teeth as a crazed look appeared on their faces. They let out a wild roar as they charged towards Ling Xiao. Since he couldn't dodge, he could only fight with all his might. Demonic aura surged around Blade Demon as an ancient and mysterious hell appeared in the chaos. A sharp and terrifying blade radiance shot out from it. It was extremely bright as it slashed towards Ling Xiao's forehead. The god-slaying blade had also surpassed the limits of the Emperor realm. It possessed the power to destroy the heavens and earth. It could slay the indestructible primordial spirit. The giant axe in Battle Axe's hand expanded in the void, becoming 10,000 feet long. It spewed out a vast Emperor's aura as though it could split the heavens and earth. It was surrounded by boundless killing intent as it slashed towards Ling Xiao's head. The two of them were forced by Ling Xiao's terrifying physical body. They began to fight with all their might, displaying their strongest killing techniques. Boom! Boom! Ling Xiao's fists were like two violent divine dragons. They slammed onto the forbidden blade and giant axe at the same time, causing an earth-shattering explosion. This time, although the Avicii Hell's god-burying blade was hidden between reality and illusion, it couldn't slash at Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit. Instead, it was blocked by Ling Xiao's fist. Gotcha! There was a crisp sound as the blade radiance shattered. The war blade in Sword Demon's hand trembled violently and sent Sword Demon flying. Sword Demon spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. His forbidden blade, which had always been successful, had lost its effect on Ling Xiao. Boom! The gigantic axe light collided with Ling Xiao's fist imprint. There was also a violent tremor. Ling Xiao's fist imprint destroyed the axe light. Then, the axe light continued to move forward and collided with the extreme Dao Monarch weapon. The gigantic black battle axe emitted boundless light. Then, it slammed into the battle axe's chest. Blood spurted out and battle axe's chest caved in. Many of his ribs were broken. Similarly, giant axe was sent flying. In the blink of an eye, Ju Wu Supreme Being, Sword Demon and Giant Axe were all severely injured by Ling Xiao's invincible fist. Ling Xiao stood in the middle of the great Emperor's battlefield. His aura surged and his black hair danced in the wind. His eyes were blazing like lightning and his breathing was accompanied by the sound of wind and thunder. His aura was extremely powerful. An invincible aura spread out as if a great emperor had awakened. That powerful emperor aura showed signs of breaking through the extreme realm. Is this Ling Xiao's true combat strength? How terrifying! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, and their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Sword Demon 18th on the Dao affirmation list. Battle Axe 12th on the Dao affirmation list. Lord of Celestial City. Ju Wu Supreme Being 8th on the Dao affirmation list. Lord of Yin Yang Emperor City. If these three peerless sky prides joined forces, they might even be able to put up a fight against the top three monstrous geniuses on the Dao affirmation list. However, in the hands of Ling Xiao, they were easily crushed and suppressed by Ling Xiao. His fist shocked the sky prides. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of reverence. After today's battle, Ling Xiao's name will shake the 12 great emperor cities. Zhao Ritian said slowly. There was a complicated look in his eyes. Then, a surge of battle intent surged out from him. Ling Xiao could defeat the ancient sky prides and condense a physical body. Zhao Ritian could do the same. Shake the 12 great emperor cities? Chaos, fate, karma, and reincarnation. These are the lords of the 4 great emperor cities. They are also the top 4 fellows on the Dao affirmation list. They are the strongest existences. Only by defeating these 4 will you have the qualifications to ascend to the peak and strive for supremacy. Dark Ling Xiao said faintly. His eyes were also shining brightly. Oh my God, Ling Xiao is going to ascend to the heavens. He defeated the experts on the Dao affirmation list as soon as he appeared. Now, even the 3 sky prides can't suppress him. Is this what it means to be invincible? Yi Liangshan was also secretly shocked. He looked at Ling Xiao in the distance, and his heart was filled with an indescribable excitement. He, this is my big brother, the future great Emperor Ling Xiao. In this eternal Emperor Road, not only will the opportunity to become an emperor fall into my big brother's hands, only my big brother is qualified to obtain the legendary secret of transcendence. Kuan Peng said with a smile. His eyes were filled with pride. He seemed to have completely forgotten about his previous thoughts of escaping from Ling Xiao. At this moment, he was incomparably glad that Ling Xiao was indeed the chosen one. Boom! An unparalleled fist came crashing down and sent Ju Wu Supreme God flying again. Ju Wu Supreme God's body shook violently as he coughed out blood. Ling Xiao, don't go too far. Ju Wu Supreme God said angrily. His eyes were filled with fear. Go too far? Ju Wu Supreme God, as an ancient sky pride and the legendary Three Uniques King, you don't even have the determination to fight a fair battle with me. How disappointing! Ling Xiao shook his head, a hint of disappointment in his eyes. The legendary Three Uniques King was only SS. Even though Ju Wu Supreme God had reached the peak of the Emperor Road 3 times and was a peerless sky pride who had dominated 3 eras, in Ling Xiao's eyes, he was just a coward who had lost his courage. The road to becoming an emperor was filled with difficulties and dangers. If one did not have a fearless heart to overcome all obstacles, how could one attain the great Tao? The ancients might not necessarily be stronger than the people of today. Even the ancient sky prides might not be able to dominate the current era. In Ling Xiao's eyes, Ju Wu Supreme God had lost his courage. Ling Xiao, I admit defeat today. I'll give you the position of the Lord of the Yin-Yang Emperor City. How about we call it a day? Ju Wu Supreme God's eyes were filled with anger. However, in the end he took a deep breath, suppressed his anger, and said calmly, admit defeat? Sure. Kill yourself and I'll let your true spirit enter the cycle of reincarnation. I'll leave you a complete corpse. How about that? Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Ling Xiao, do you really think you've got me? If the 3 of us fight to the death, who knows who will emerge victorious today? Ju Wu Supreme God said coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He did not expect Ling Xiao to not let him go even after he had expressed his intention of admitting defeat. Blade Demon and Battle Axe's expressions were ugly. They stood beside Ju Wu Supreme God with a trace of hesitation in their eyes. Ju Wu Supreme God, you're right. I'm going to have you today. Since you're not willing to surrender, I'll send you on your way. Ling Xiao said indifferently. His eyes were dazzling, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. He had a reason to kill Ju Wu Supreme God. Not to mention the thousands of Origin Dao fruits on Ju Wu Supreme God, Ling Xiao would not let him go just because he was a robber. Rumble. Ling Xiao attacked as soon as he finished speaking. His feet trembled as if there was an explosion. Chaotic light spewed out and a blazing light bloomed in his palm. It contained an ancient and mysterious aura. Behind Ling Xiao, there seemed to be an ancient hell rising, suppressing countless ancient gods and demons. A terrifying saber will suddenly erupted. A dazzling saber light soared into the sky and chopped down on Ju Wu Supreme God. Coupled with Ling Xiao's extreme physical speed, it arrived in front of Ju Wu Supreme God in an instant. Not good. Is that the heaven-burying saber of Avicii Hell? Ju Wu Supreme God, guard your Tao heart. Blade Demon's body shook violently as he cried out in alarm. As soon as his voice fell, the saber slashed down. Ju Wu Supreme God felt a chill run down his spine. Although the saber looked distorted and illusory, as if it did not have any physical form, it made him feel extremely threatened. Heaven-burying saber of Avicii Hell, saber of heart. There was no need for Blade Demon to say anything. Divine light surged around Ju Wu Supreme God as his origin energy rose and intertwined like divine chains of order. Ju Wu Supreme God's origin Tao spirit appeared instantly. Thousands of strands of origin energy gathered to form a huge barrier, supporting the origin Tao spirit and blocking the saber. Rumble. As the saber light slashed down, the origin energy trembled violently before shattering inch by inch. Thousands of strands of origin energy were destroyed by Ling Zhao's saber, and the saber light sank into Ju Wu Supreme God's body. Crack. A crisp sound rang out from within Ju Wu Supreme God's body as if something had cracked. His heart was filled with a deep fear of Ling Zhao, causing the battle intent around him to dissipate by quite a bit. Not good. My Dao heart has been broken. Ju Wu Supreme God's expression changed drastically, his eyes filled with disbelief. Facing the hell of Avicii saber, even though he had unleashed the origin Dao spirit, there was already a flaw in his spirit. Previously, he had already developed fear of Ling Zhao and was no longer indestructible. Thus, Ling Zhao's saber took advantage of the situation and broke his Dao heart. The saber of the heart was unfathomable. If Ling Zhao had used the taboo saber right from the start, Ju Wu God King would have had absolute confidence in winning. His Dao heart was strong and flawless, without any flaws. The taboo saber would not have been able to injure Ju Wu God King's Dao heart. But now, Ju Wu Supreme God's heart was filled with fear. Even though he used his origin Dao spirit to resist, his Dao heart was still broken by Ling Zhao's saber. Seeing the cold killing intent in Ling Zhao's eyes, Ju Wu Supreme God's heart skipped a beat. Without a second thought, he shifted towards Blade Demon and Battle Axe. His Dao heart was broken. If he fought alone, he would probably die at Ling Zhao's hands soon. He had to rely on Blade Demon and Battle Axe. The three of them had to work together to stand a chance against Ling Zhao. What did I just see? Thousands of strands of origin energy actually erupted from Ju Wu Supreme God's body? Someone in the Yin-Yang Imperial City exclaimed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Ling Zhao's dazzling saber had broken Ju Wu Supreme God's Dao heart. Although it was shocking, everyone's attention was drawn to the origin energy that had erupted from Ju Wu Supreme God's body. Thousands of strands of origin energy. This means that he has thousands of origin Dao fruits in his body. How is this possible? Could he be? Everyone's faces were filled with shock as the same thought surfaced in their minds. A Dao robber? Only a Dao robber could form so many origin Dao fruits without restraint. They had never imagined that Ju Wu Supreme God, the Lord of Yin-Yang Emperor City, would be a Dao robber. Ju Wu Supreme God is a Dao robber? Damn it. He's the Lord of Yin-Yang Emperor City? If this continues, won't we all die at his hands? Everyone's faces were extremely ugly as they looked at Ju Wu Supreme God with shock and anger. Lord Ling Zhao, please kill Ju Wu Supreme God and the Dao robber. Someone shouted loudly. Instantly, many cultivators in Yin-Yang Emperor City began to shout in unison. The crowd's shouts were like thunder, whistling through the air and reaching the great emperor battlefield. Ju Wu Supreme God, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe's faces changed drastically. Blade Demon and Battle Axe, in particular, instinctively pulled away from Ju Wu Supreme God. Rumble. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed sharply. He took advantage of this opportunity to break through the air and appear before Ju Wu Supreme God in an instant. Then, he threw a punch at Ju Wu Supreme God's head. Chapter 3260. Ling Zhao's physical body had already broken through the extreme realm and reached the extreme realm. He had condensed his physical body's Dao spirit and reached the great perfection realm. When he attacked, it was as if he could ignore time and space, containing a great destructive power. The punch was already in front of Ju No Divine King and landed on his head with unstoppable force. Kacha! Ju No Divine King's head seemed to have been struck by lightning. A crisp sound rang out and his head caved in. His skull shattered and yellow blood spurted out. However, what shocked Ling Zhao the most was that Ju Wu Divine King's head was so tough that it wasn't any weaker than an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. His fist didn't manage to kill Ju Wu Divine King. Boom! Ling Zhao's punch was extremely fast. His entire body was wrapped in a vast force of heaven and earth. He broke through the void and followed closely behind Ju No Divine King with another punch. Get lost! Ju No Divine King roared. His voice was filled with anger and fear. His body emitted a yellow light that was thick and mysterious, enveloping his entire body. At the same time, He used all his strength to erupt with all his cultivation. He pushed his arms out to block Ling Xiao's attack. That yellow light seemed to contain the origin of the earth and contained an extremely strong defensive force. When it collided with Ling Xiao's fist, a series of muffled sounds rang out. In the end, Ling Xiao's punch pierced through it. Gotcha! Ju No Divine King's arms were blown apart by Ling Xiao's punch. Blood splattered everywhere. Then, Ling Xiao's punch landed on Ju No Divine King's head again. Bang! Like a watermelon exploding, Ju No Divine King's head exploded. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere. A yellow light flashed and instantly entered Ju No Divine King's body. It's a yellow chi? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Ju No Divine King's indestructible primordial spirit was actually not in human form. It was a yellow chi that looked mysterious and unfathomable. It seemed to contain the aura of the Great Tao. This also meant that Ju No Divine King's original body was definitely not a human. It was some kind of strange object that had attained Tao. Rumble. Divine King Ju No Void's body shone with a yellow light as his life force erupted. He reformed his body and looked at Ling Xiao with shock and fury. His head had been blown up by Ling Xiao's punch. Although he seemed to be unscathed, he was heavily injured. Cracks had appeared on his indestructible soul. At the same time, he felt some regret in his heart. The great sovereign's battlefield was extremely strange. One could enter but not leave. Unless he and Ling Xiao fought to the death, there was no way they could leave the battlefield. However, when he saw Ling Xiao condense a physical body and Tao spirit with his own eyes and display such heaven-defying battle prowess, even his Tao heart had been shattered. A sense of fear finally appeared in his heart. Ling Xiao, what do you want? Don't force me. Otherwise, even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Ju No God King roared at Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with cold killing intent. At the same time, he looked at Blade Demon and Tomahawk and shouted, "Are you two really going to stand by and watch? If I die in Ling Xiao's hands, he won't let the two of you off." Blade Demon and Tomahawk shuddered as they understood that Ju No God King was speaking the truth. Immediately, they flew across the sky and faced Ling Xiao together with Ju No God King. Perish together? You'll have to have the ability to do so. Ling Xiao's eyes were deep and bright as he said indifferently, "Rumble." An earth-shattering aura erupted from Ling Xiao's body. It was vast and mighty, as if an extreme emperor's aura had awakened. It pressed down on Ju No God King and the other two. Don't hold back. Unleash all your trump cards and kill him. Ju No God King, Blade Demon, and Tomahawk looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with crazy killing intent. Rumble. Terrifying blood chi rose around the three of them, and a vast aura burst forth. The terrifying power caused the surrounding space to tremble violently. The three utmost powerful beings pounced towards Ling Xiao like ferocious beasts from the ancient times. You're courting death. Since that's the case, the three of you can go to hell together. Ling Xiao said coldly. Rumble. A vast and unparalleled sword essence rose around him, and his aura instantly became extremely sharp. Blazing sword light exploded, making him look like a peerless divine sword that had been unsheathed. Sword come. Ling Xiao shouted. Suddenly, a chilling light bloomed in the void. An ancient sword appeared in Ling Xiao's palm, giving off millions of dazzling lights. Sky-swallowing sword. The four celestial slaying swords merged together to form a peerless divine sword. Although it wasn't an extreme emperor weapon, it was stronger than an extreme emperor weapon. The moment the sky-swallowing sword appeared, everyone in the surroundings felt a chill run down their spines. It was as if they were being enveloped by endless sword chi. Rumble. As Ling Xiao's sword slashed down from the sky-devouring sword soared into the sky and split into four peerless sword lights in the void. They were like heavenly pillars that hung in the chaos, as though they were going to tear the entire world apart. An incomparably terrifying sword formation instantly condensed. Ju No God King, Blade Demon, and Tomahawk were all enveloped by the sword formation. Not good. It's a sword formation. Break the formation quickly. Blade Demon's expression changed as he roared. Clang. The ancient saber in his hand suddenly gave off a ferocious light as it slashed down from the sky. It collided with the sword chi in the sky and instantly created a tsunami of air waves. Being enveloped by the sword formation, the vague coordination between the three of them was instantly severed. These were the celestial slaying swords created by the heaven-reaching great emperor of the immortal world. They were known as the celestial slaying swords and could kill great emperors when used. Although the celestial slaying swords were no longer around and had been completely merged with the sky-swallowing sword, the sky-swallowing sword could still display the celestial slaying sword formation and release a power that was even more terrifying than the celestial slaying swords. Ju no God King and Tomahawk's hearts pounded as they unleashed their powerful cultivation. They continuously attacked the sword formation in an attempt to break out of it. Rumble! Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a sharp light as he soared through the sky and punched towards Ju no God King. Using the sky-swallowing sword and the celestial slaying sword formation to display the might of the sword formation was not only to trap the three supreme experts and prevent them from escaping, but also to make it easier for Ling Zhao to take them down one by one. The three of them were extremely strong. If any of them managed to escape, it would be a huge problem. Therefore, Ling Zhao had long harbored the intention of keeping all of them here. Seeing Ling Zhao's sudden appearance, Ju no God King's expression changed drastically. He quickly retreated and wanted to charge into the surging sword chi to meet up with Blade Demon and Tomahawk. Gotcha! Ling Zhao unleashed his strongest physical body strength. His fist imprints were like an immemorial divine mountain, enveloping God King Ju Wushuang within. Ju no God King had nowhere to run and could only take Ling Zhao's punch head-on. Boom! Ju no God King's body shook violently as blood spurted out from his mouth. Cracks appeared on his body as though he would shatter at any moment. Ling Zhao, don't you go too far. Ju no God King roared. Ling Zhao did not reply to him. The killing intent in his eyes was as strong as steel. Boundless source energy surged around him as he punched out once more. Boom! The Shenhuang Qi around Ju no God King surged out as an immortal and mysterious fluctuation spread out. Even though he was sent flying by Ling Zhao's punch, he still managed to block Ling Zhao's punch in the end. Kill! Ling Zhao roared out. His voice contained a boundless heavenly might as it surged towards Ju no God King. Ju no God King's Dao heart had already been broken. Now that he was intimidated by Ling Zhao's might, his heart could not help but tremble. But at this moment, Ling Zhao's invincible punch had already broken through the Shenhuang Qi barrier around him and landed on his chest. Gotcha! On Ju no God King's body, dense spiderweb-like cracks appeared. Blazing black and yellow qi spewed out from them. Even though his physical body was extremely strong, he was still unable to withstand Ling Zhao's ferocious and domineering fist. His body exploded with a loud bang. Freeze! Ling Zhao bellowed. The strand of Shenhuang Qi that wanted to escape from Ju no Divine King's body shuddered and stopped in the void. Ling Zhao pointed out with a finger. His finger radiance contained a sharpness that could pierce through everything as it landed on the Shenhuang Qi. Boom! The Shenhuang Qi trembled violently as runes broke apart one after another. Vaguely, an incomparably hideous face appeared. At the same time, there was a trace of unconcealable fear. It was Ju no God King. Ling Zhao, spare me. Ju no God King's indestructible primordial spirit became extremely dim. He even felt the threat of death as he begged for mercy. He was a ultimate king and had reached the peak 3 times. There was a very high chance that he could attain Dao and become an emperor. Naturally, he was not willing to die here. He even thought that if Ling Zhao spared his life, it would not be impossible for him to join Ling Zhao and become his follower. It's too late, Ling Zhao said indifferently. Within his sharp finger radiance, the power of time and space intertwined. A vast force descended and instantly destroyed Ju no God King's primordial spirit. The origin Dao fruits within the indestructible primordial spirit were forcefully extracted by Ling Zhao and suppressed within his sea of consciousness between his eyebrows. Boom! Ju no God King's indestructible primordial spirit exploded, turning into streams of pure Xianhuang qi that dissipated into the surroundings and merged back into Ju No God King's body. Ju No God King's corpse had turned into a huge Xianhuang rock that flowed with a mysterious light. There were a total of 9 orifices on it, and it breathed in chaotic qi. It looked extremely mysterious. The original body is the 9 orifices Xianhuang rock? No wonder. Even though his primordial spirit has been wiped away by me, the 9 orifices Xianhuang rock is indestructible. It's a supreme treasure that can be used to forge extreme Dao Emperor weapons. In the future, it might even be able to gain sentience. Ling Xiao thought to himself as a tinge of surprise flashed across his eyes. He waved his sleeves and kept the 9 orifices Xianhuang rock. As for the treasures on Ju No God King's body, he would take his time to investigate them. At this point, Ju No God King had fallen. Rumble. The great emperor's battlefield above Yin Yang Imperial City instantly shattered and everyone appeared above Yin Yang Imperial City. The great emperor's battlefield has been broken. Who died? Everyone's body trembled as they asked curiously. Could Ju No God King have fallen? Someone guessed. They looked up and saw 4 dazzling sword lights hanging high in the void. Within the powerful sword formation, sword qi surged violently as it trembled violently. The fact that the sword formation had not been broken meant that Ling Xiao was still alive. Then it was obvious who had died. Rumble. At this moment, an incomparably terrifying power erupted with a loud bang. It contained the power of great destruction. It was as if a supreme emperor had awakened. It directly broke a hole in the sword formation, and then 2 figures frantically fled from it. They were the Blade Demon and War Axe. Ju No God King is dead? Ling Xiao's strength is too terrifying. But the Blade Demon and War Axe's eyes were filled with fear. At this moment, the 2 of them looked extremely miserable, as if their vitality had been greatly damaged. In order to break out of the sword formation, not only did they use a forbidden move, but they had also exhausted their powerful foundation. Only then could they erupt with power close to that of a great emperor and escape from the sword formation. Ling Xiao was still in an intense battle with Ju No God King and had no time to control the sword formation. Otherwise, it would not have been so easy for them to escape. However, the Blade Demon and War Axe's fighting spirit had disappeared. After seeing the great emperor's battlefield broken, they only wanted to escape. Ling Xiao was too terrifying. Rumble. However, at this moment, a dazzling sword light that seemed to have split the heavens and the earth came crashing down on the battle axe. At the same time, the wind and clouds in the void surged as killing intent surged. A domineering blade light that seemed to have come from hell slashed towards the Blade Demon. Trying to escape? Have you asked for our permission? Today, not only will Yin Yang Imperial City have a new master, but so will Celestial Battling Imperial City. 2 overbearing and arrogant voices reverberated in the sky above the Yin Yang Imperial City. They were filled with insufferably arrogance. A few figures appeared in the void. Their auras were powerful and unfathomable. The ones who had spoken were Old Goat and Taoist Wu Yang. On the other hand, Dugu Qiubai and Domineering Blade unleashed their most powerful sword Intent and Saber Light to block Tomahawk and Saber Demon. Get lost. War Axe and Blade Demon were shocked and furious. They roared and charged towards Dugu Qiubai and Ba Dao in an attempt to break out of the encirclement and escape. Ling Xiao, who was behind them, was a fatal threat. They did not want to stay here for a second longer. Old Goat? Taoist Wu Yang? Senior Dugu? Ba Dao? Ling Xiao stepped out of the sword formation. When he saw Old Goat and the others, he could not help but tremble. His eyes were filled with excitement and joy. After hundreds of years of ups and downs and killings on the Eternal Emperor's road, old friends had their own destinies. Finally, they were reunited in the 12 imperial cities. Today, the sword had slain a supreme god. Old friends were reunited and it was time to celebrate with the blood of the enemy. Chapter 3261. Dugu Qiubai and Ba Dao's cultivation had reached the 9th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. Peerless Imperial Emperors. Facing Tomahawk and Blade Demon, both of their eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. Dugu Qiubai's sword intent merged into one as though he had merged with the heavens and earth. His sword intent was boundless and seemed to be everywhere. However, it sent chills down everyone's spine. It was a mysterious and powerful origin aura that could only be emitted when one had cultivated the sword principle to the highest level. As for Ba Dao, he looked at Blade Demon as though he had seen his nemesis. Terrifying sword intent rose around him as he faced Blade Demon head-on. The two supreme experts of the sword principle were both successors of the Forbidden Sword. They looked at each other and saw each other as their greatest enemy. War Axe and Blade Demon's faces were extremely ugly. They could feel that Dugu Qiubai and Ba Dao were extremely powerful. However, they had lost their courage because of Ling Xiao. It wasn't the best time to fight. However, Dugu Qiubai and Ba Dao didn't give them a chance to hesitate. They attacked immediately. Rumble. The sword chi was unparalleled and extremely dazzling. The sword light that filled the skies surged like stars and enveloped the battle axe. The sword light was like a heavenly river as it swept across the sky. The vast and terrifying sword intent contained pure killing intent as it slashed towards Blade Demon. The battle between the four supreme experts instantly broke out. Kill. Today we will kill all of them. Leave no one alive. How dare you touch my brother? Are you tired of living? The white dragon horse and the old goat laughed proudly. Instantly, they charged forward like a black whirlwind. Their huge hooves were like mountains as they pressed down on a Surgod. Taoist Wuliang looked indifferent as a horsetail whisk appeared in his hand. Instantly, 3,000 rays of light bloomed like a vast river towards Ju Wu Supreme Being's subordinates. Ha, that's right. Ju Wu Supreme Being is dead. It's time for us to clean up the mess. Zhao Ritian laughed arrogantly. After killing two Surgods, he was surrounded by a murderous aura. Bathed in blood, his aura became even more terrifying. Darkling Xiao was also surrounded by surging demonic qi. The chaotic demonic flame burned the void as unparalleled fist imprints continued to fall. The Divine King has already died in Ling Zhao's hands. But we can't continue fighting. Hurry up and escape from Yin Yang Emperor City. Ling Xiao is too terrifying. No one is his match at all. The death of Ju Wu Divine King had made everyone tremble with fear, especially the 10 Surgods and many high-level emperors. Originally, they had suffered heavy casualties in the hands of Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. At that moment, their fighting spirit had completely vanished. Their faces were filled with terror as they frantically fled out of the Yin Yang Imperial City. However, with the addition of the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, White Dragon Horse, Dark Soaring Clouds, Zhao Ritian, Kunpeng, and Yi Liangchen, the few of them were like an army of thousands of men and horses. They kept chasing after the followers of Ju No God King. In the sky above Yin Yang Emperor City, there was a bloodbath. Although the cultivators in Yin Yang Emperor City were excited that Ling Xiao had killed Ju No God King as he had eliminated a robber like Ju No God King, they were also in awe of Ling Xiao's strength. Among the 10 Surgods, 4 or 5 of them had already been killed by Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. With the addition of the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and White Dragon Horse, the remaining Surgods were frightened and their fighting power was greatly reduced. They didn't hold on for long and died one after another. Needless to say, the high-level emperors were all covered in blood and died. The entire Yin Yang Emperor City was shrouded in a thick smell of blood and ferocious aura. The cultivators in Yin Yang Emperor City were all terrified. The same thought appeared in their minds. Yin Yang Emperor City had changed hands. Ling Xiao didn't take any action. He only took out the sky-swallowing sword. The sword chi swept across 30,000 miles and hung high above Yin Yang Emperor City. It locked onto War Axe and Blade Demon to prevent them from escaping. War Axe and Blade Demon were naturally left to Dugu Qiubai and Ba Dao. Naturally, these two battles were extremely intense. Especially War Axe and Blade Demon. When they realized that they had no chance of escaping, they went completely crazy. They attacked Dugu Qiubai and Ba Dao with all their might, bursting with an extremely strong desire to live. Ling Xiao didn't take part in the battle. Instead, he was searching for the treasures on Zhu Wu Supreme Being's body. The one that caught his attention the most was naturally the 1,000 origin Dao fruits in Zhu Wu Supreme Being's body. 1,000 origin Dao fruits. This God King Zhu Wu should be considered a supreme expert even among Dao robbers, right? However, he shouldn't be the so-called robber lord. I just don't know the true identity of a robber lord. Could he be one of the top few on the Dao affirmation list? Ling Xiao thought to himself. 1,000 origin Dao fruits, all of them perfect quality. However, Ling Xiao also found 50 white jade treasure boxes on Zhu Wu Supreme Being's body. There were still 500 origin Dao fruits that hadn't been refined. In total, there were a shocking 1,500 origin Dao fruits. Moreover, all of them were perfect quality. I'm afraid Zhu Wu Supreme Being hasn't had time to refine these 500 origin Dao fruits. If he has 1,500 origin Dao fruits, it won't be so easy for me to kill him. Ling Xiao guessed. He carefully sifted through them. Among the 1,500 origin Dao fruits, there were many duplicate origin Dao fruits. There were less than 800 that he could use. To be exact, there were 780. If I refine all 780 origin Dao fruits, I'll have 1,600 origin Dao fruits in my body. Perhaps 1,600 origin Dao fruits will be enough to push my cultivation straight to the 9th level of the Imperial Lord Realm? Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. His heart was filled with anticipation. He was extremely satisfied with his gains from this battle. Although the battle with Zhu Wu Supreme Being had been difficult, his gains had been immense. As expected, killing robbers was the fastest way to obtain origin Dao fruits. In Ling Xiao's opinion, Zhu Wu Supreme Being was simply a child of wealth. He was almost on par with Zhao Ritian. Not only had he contributed so many origin Dao fruits, but he had also contributed the 9-orifice black-yellow rock and the position of Lord of Yin Yang Emperor City. After killing Zhu Wu Supreme Being, Ling Xiao discovered a golden seal in his indestructible primordial spirit. It contained vast heavenly energy. It was the authority of the Lord of Yin Yang Emperor City. As long as he refined that golden seal, he would become the new Lord of Yin Yang Emperor City. Rumble. The two battles above Yin Yang Emperor City ended quickly. Although Battle Axe was strong, he had already been injured by Ling Xiao. Moreover, he had encountered Dugu Qiubai, who was even stronger. It didn't take long for him to let out an unwilling and despairing roar before dying at Dugu Qiubai's hands. The seal of Celestial Battling City had fallen into Dugu Qiubai's hands. As long as Dugu Qiubai refined it, he would become the Lord of Celestial Battling City. Blade Demon and Domineering Blade were both successors of the Forbidden Blade. Both of them were extremely strong. In the end, Domineering Blade was injured and had to pay a heavy price to kill Blade Demon. Blade Demon, a genius of the demon race who had once competed with Bushuan Wushuang, had died in Domineering Blade's hands. After Blade Demon's death, the Avicii Hell God Burying Blade seemed to have a mind of its own. It turned into a mysterious and dazzling blade radiance and entered Ling Xiao's body. This was because Ling Xiao had destroyed Blade Demon's Dao heart during his battle with Blade Demon. He had also intercepted part of the Avicii Hell God Burying Blade's blade intent. That was why the Avicii Hell God Burying Blade had been attracted to him. Ling Xiao and Domineering Blade had not expected such a change. Big brother, the Avicii Hell God Burying Blade is fated to be with you. It should be in your hands. My blade intent has improved greatly. Quality is more important than quantity, so you don't have to mind it. Domineering Blade looked at Ling Xiao with a smile. All right, we're brothers. Since that's the case, I won't stand on ceremony, Ling Xiao said with a smile. Ling Xiao, I didn't expect you to have grown so much in just 100 years. I'm afraid even I am no match for you now. Dugu Qiubai also walked over and smiled at Ling Xiao. Senior Dugu, you flatter me. In terms of cultivation, Dugu Qiubai is one step ahead of others. It seems like Senior Dugu's great Dao is within reach after the Void Realm. Ling Xiao replied with a smile. Great Tao is within reach? The only Emperor's Tao is not that easy to achieve. Not to mention, I'm afraid the legendary secret of transcendence will appear this time. Dugu Qiubai said with a sigh. There was a sharp glint in his eyes. Hee, since we've reunited, we should have a good chat. This place is not suitable. Let's go to the governor's mansion. Now that Ling Xiao is the governor of Yin Yang Imperial City, it's a good opportunity for us to see the mysteries of Yin Yang Imperial City. The old goat said with a smile. He did not treat himself as an outsider and led everyone to the governor's mansion, which was previously the divine king's mansion. That's right. Let's go to the governor's mansion first, Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. He suppressed his excitement and led the group to the city lord's mansion. The battle had come to an end. Ju Wu Divine King, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe, the three supreme sky prides on the Tao validation list, had fallen. None of them had escaped. The news of this battle seemed to have grown legs and flew towards the 12 imperial cities. It would not be long before this battle would shock the 12 imperial cities. Ling Xiao would also become one of the most dazzling figures in the 12 imperial cities. Ling Xiao is too heaven-defying. 3 geniuses of the ancient era had been killed, including Ju Wu Shenwang, the 3 Ultimates King. Looks like it's already full of suspense as to who will be able to reach the peak of the realm of nothingness. That's right. After this battle, I'm sure Ling Xiao's name on the Tao validation list will change. I wonder where he will be ranked? He should be in the top 6, right? It's also possible for him to be in the top 4. After all, he suppressed 3 supreme sky prides on his own. It's not likely for him to be in the top 4. Of the top 4 existences, which one of them wasn't a heaven-defying figure to the extreme? Although there are 12 imperial cities, the chaos, fate, karma, and reincarnation cities are different from the other imperial cities. No matter what, Ling Xiao already has the qualifications to compete with those heaven-defying figures. The final Void Realm, the battle at the pinnacle, I'm really looking forward to it. In the Yin Yang Imperial City, the cultivators seemed to have yet to recover from the battle as they watched Ling Xiao and the others leave. Their eyes were filled with reverence. The center of the 12 imperial cities was known as the Void Realm. The Void Realm was the end of the Eternal Emperor Road. There were no living creatures, no world, and not even the heavenly Tao. There was only nothingness. However, everything could be found in the Void Realm. The Void Realm was also known as the Infinity. The Infinity gave birth to Taiji, and Taiji gave birth to all things. If the Void Realm was the Infinity, and the Chaos Realm was Taiji, then the Chaos Realm was born from the Void Realm. Naturally, all things in the world originated from the Void Realm. The realm of nothingness was incomparably mysterious. No one knew what was inside, but everyone knew that Tao-confirming opportunities came from the realm of nothingness. The creation of transcendence also came from the realm of nothingness. In the 12 imperial cities, everyone was waiting for the Void Realm to open. However, at that moment, there were several powerful divine consciousnesses intertwining in the Void Realm. Ju Wu is dead. Ju Wu is one of the 4 generals under the Tribulation Master. His strength is not much weaker than ours. Who killed him? It's Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao? Was he the so-called Heaven's Chosen One? He was actually able to kill Ju Wu? We must avenge Ju Wu. This is news from the Tribulation Master. We can't do anything for now. We have to wait for the Void Realm to fully open. Then we can help the Tribulation Master achieve great things. It seems like we can only let Ling Xiao live for a while longer. Don't worry. He's no match for the Tribulation Master. Once the Void Realm opens, he'll definitely die. Those powerful divine consciousnesses conversed with each other. In the end, they returned to the figures with powerful auras. Then, they were shrouded by the Void Realm and disappeared without a trace. Chaos Imperial City. Interesting. He used Ju Wu, Blade Demon, and Battle Axe to form a physical body and Tao spirit? Ling Xiao did not disappoint me. The 9th prince, who was shrouded in resplendent immortal light, said indifferently. His eyes shone with a strange light. Ninth Prince, he's now the Lord of Yin-Yang Imperial City. When the Void Realm opens, he'll become one of your greatest enemies. One of the elite followers with a powerful aura said respectfully to the Ninth Prince. It's true that he's my opponent, but he can't be considered an enemy. The Eternal Emperor Road isn't as simple as it seems. When the Void Realm opens, blood is destined to flow like rivers. The Ninth Prince said indifferently. His eyes were deep, as if they could see through the chaos and into the depths of the Void Realm. Then how should we deal with Ling Xiao? Although the follower didn't understand, he still asked. Just treat him normally. We have our own matters to attend to. I have a feeling that the Void Realm will open soon. This is a battle for supremacy, a battle for transcendence. Our goal is not to reach the supremacy, but the secret of transcendence. Do you understand? The Ninth Prince said indifferently. Yes. The group of followers with powerful auras trembled, then bowed to the Ninth Prince in unison. For others, it might be difficult to prove one's Tao and become an emperor. However, for the Ninth Prince, proving one's Tao wasn't that difficult. In fact, it was very simple. The secret of transcendence was the Ninth Prince's true goal in coming to the Eternal Emperor Road. Chapter 3262. The Supreme Being Mansion had been changed to the Governor's Mansion. Aside from those who had died in the battle, the rest of the followers of Supreme Being Ju Wu had escaped. The entire Governor's Mansion was empty. When Ling Xiao and the rest entered the Governor's Mansion, they felt that it was cold and empty. However, that did not affect their excitement. When old friends met, they had endless things to talk about. They took out all kinds of rare fruits, delicacies and precious nectar in the spacious square of the Governor's Mansion. They were prepared to drink until they were drunk. Ling Xiao and Kun Peng had been wandering in the chaotic wilderness for hundreds of years. Although they had gone through a lot of hardships and countless life and death situations, they had obtained a lot of treasures in the chaotic wilderness. Now, they were all placed on a huge stone table. The treasures shone brightly and the fragrance filled their nostrils. It was very appetizing. After going through a life and death battle, in addition to the joy of reuniting with old friends, they were completely relaxed. Crystal cups were clinked and everyone was drinking to their heart's content. Their faces were filled with smiles. Even Darkness Ling Xiao, who had always been cold and indifferent, had a much gentler look on his face. He kept drinking with the old goat and Taoist Wu Liang. They had their arms around each other's shoulders and looked very intimate. Zhao Ritian's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He knew better than anyone how arrogant and cold Darkness Ling Xiao was. He did not even take him, the son of the Heavenly Emperor, seriously. Now, he was treating old goat and Taoist Wu Liang differently. However, he did not know that among everyone, only old goat and Taoist Wu Liang knew the real identity of Darkness Ling Xiao. They knew that Darkness Ling Xiao was Ling Xiao's darkness doppelganger. At this moment, the old goat and Taoist Wu Liang had an extremely strange feeling as they drank with Ling Xiao's clone with their arms around his shoulders. The Kunpeng and the white dragon horse both had the talent of space. At this moment, they also looked at each other. They raised their crystal cups and drank continuously. Soon, they began to become familiar with each other as if they regretted not having met earlier. If they weren't in Yin-Yang Emperor City, the two of them would have rushed into the chaotic space to compare their spatial speed. Yi Liangshan pulled Ba Dao and each of them held a huge demonic beast's leg in their hands. The leg was roasted until it was golden. It was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. They were eating the meat while drinking wine. Dugu Qiubai sat there, sipping the wine in his cup. His expression was calm, and the sharp sword intent around him was withdrawn. He looked like an elegant young man with a unique demeanor. At this moment, Zhao Riqian walked up to Ling Xiao with a cup of wine in his hand. His eyes were filled with emotion. Ling Xiao, I did not expect you to have even condensed a physical body and Tao spirit. After the end of the Eternal Emperor Road, you will probably become an emperor, right? Zhao Riqian had mixed feelings about Ling Xiao. Ever since the War God world, he had always treated Ling Xiao as his strongest opponent. Although he was the son of the Celestial Emperor and had many fortuitous encounters, allowing his strength to increase by leaps and bounds every time, Ling Xiao did not disappoint him. Ling Xiao was stronger every time. Just like now, both he and Ling Xiao were at the 8th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. However, Ling Xiao had killed Divine King Ju Wu, who was ranked 8th on the Dao confirmation list. His strength was unfathomable. Although Zhao Ritian did not want to admit it, he had no choice but to believe that he was no match for Ling Xiao. Although he had the inheritance of the 9 emperors of the human race and the Celestial Emperor's foundation, Ling Xiao's strength did not disappoint him. He was indeed Zhao Ritian's lifelong enemy. Dao confirmation and Emperor realm? Brother Ritian, aren't you the same? I feel that among everyone here, the one who has the highest chance of becoming an Emperor realm is you. When you break through to the unparalleled Imperial Emperor realm, I might not be able to defeat you. Ling Xiao naturally understood Zhao Ritian's thoughts and said with a smile. His words were not entirely to comfort Zhao Ritian. He could feel a mysterious and ancient power in Zhao Ritian's body that made his heart palpitate. Zhao Ritian was only at the 8th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. When he broke through to the 9th heaven, Zhou Tian's physical body would be complete, and he might be able to unleash his full strength. Ling Xiao has good taste. Ritian, when you break through to the 9th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm and completely integrate the foundation of the 9 emperors of the human race, you will be the strongest you. Second uncle's slightly surprised voice rang in Zhao Ritian's heart. Second uncle, you're awake? Zhao Ritian asked in surprise. After entering Eternal Emperor Road, second uncle's deep sleep had become more frequent. I'm fine. The realm of nothingness should be opening soon, right? I have to step into the 9th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm as soon as possible and integrate the foundation of the 9 emperors of the human race. Then I will fight for the secret of transcendence. Second uncle said solemnly. The secret of transcendence? It's not that easy. Moreover, until now, I don't even know what the secret of transcendence is. Zhao Ritian said with a bitter smile. When you enter the realm of nothingness, you might know. The battles in the realm of nothingness will be extremely intense. Your current strength is not enough. Second uncle said, I understand. I will do my best. Zhao Ritian nodded and said, Ling Xiao, when we enter the realm of nothingness, I want to have a fair fight with you. Zhao Ritian was silent for a moment before he raised his head to look at Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with an extremely strong battle intent. You want to fight with me? Of course. Ling Xiao said with a smile. He understood Zhao Ritian's thoughts. At the same time, he was filled with anticipation. If this son of the Celestial Emperor were to break through to the 9th level of the Imperial Monarch realm and completely fuse with the reserves left behind by the Celestial Emperor, then exactly how formidable would he be? However, Ling Xiao was also preparing to go into seclusion. He had obtained so many Origin Dao fruits from Ju Wu Supreme Being. With the help of the Master of Yin Yang Emperor City, he might be able to break through to the 9th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. The current 12 imperial cities looked very peaceful. The Sky Prides on the Dao validation list rarely fought each other because they were all waiting for the opening of the realm of nothingness. One could imagine that there would be an extremely intense battle in the realm of nothingness. For the opportunity to become an imperial emperor, for the secret of transcendence, no one would let go of this opportunity. Ling Xiao, after today's battle, the Dao confirmation rankings will probably be updated very soon. You'll definitely be able to step foot into the top 10 of the Dao confirmation rankings. However, the 4 fellows at the top of the rankings will be formidable enemies for you in the future. You must be careful. The old goat walked over and said with a solemn expression. Who are the top 4 on the Dao validation list? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Although he was ranked 36th on the Dao validation list, Ling Xiao hadn't seen the complete list yet. At the mention of the top 4 on the Dao validation list, everyone put down their wine glasses and looked a little serious. The 4th on the Dao validation list is the Master of Reincarnation Imperial City, Yu Ming. Legend has it that he's an expert from the ancient era and the son of a great emperor. He has stepped onto the peak of the Eternal Emperor Road 6 times and is a 6th ultimate king. Even a 9th Heaven Imperial Emperor Realm ancient beast couldn't last a single move against him. The old goat said slowly. The third on the Tao validation list is the Master of Karma Imperial City, Tathagata. He's also an extremely powerful ancient prodigy born in the Buddha era and has stepped onto the peak of the Eternal Emperor Road 7 times. He's a 7 ultimate king. The second on the Tao validation list is the Master of Chaos Imperial City, Hong Tian. However, he's not an ancient prodigy, but the 9th son of the immortal world's immortal emperor. He's also known as the 9th prince. The reason he's ranked second is because he killed Wu Xingtian, an 8 ultimate king, and replaced him. That's why he's ranked second on the Tao validation list. When the old goat mentioned the 9th prince of the immortal race, a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. This was a dazzling peerless prodigy who was known as the #1 prodigy of the immortal race. His strength was unfathomable, and even Ling Xiao seemed to pale in comparison to the 9th prince. This Hong Tian's strength is unfathomable. Although he's ranked second on the Tao validation list, many people think he might have the strength of the first on the Tao validation list. However, he hasn't fought the person who's ranked first. Taoist Wu Yang chimed in with a solemn look in his eyes. The 9th prince of the immortal race, Hong Tian? A trace of surprise appeared in Ling Zhao's eyes. He hadn't expected to hear about the 9th prince here. He was naturally no stranger to the 9th prince. When he'd infiltrated the immortal world, he'd sensed the 9th prince's strength. That unfathomable aura, which was as deep as the sea, had left a deep impression on him. He hadn't expected the 9th prince Hong Tian to be ranked second on the Tao validation list. Ling Xiao was the son of God. With the enmity between the God race and the immortal race, perhaps the two of them would fight in the realm of nothingness? However, Ling Xiao recalled the 9th prince's attitude towards him. There didn't seem to be much hatred, which was very strange. Then who's ranked first on the Tao validation list? Kuanping asked curiously. If the 6 ultimate kings and 7 ultimate kings were only ranked 3rd and 4th, then could the 9 ultimate king be ranked first? The first on the Tao validation list is called Sakra. He's the master of Fortune Imperial City, but no one knows his origins. Some say he's a 10 ultimate king, while others say he's a contemporary prodigy. There's very little information about him. As for why he's ranked first on the Tao validation list, it's because he can fight a great emperor without losing. At the mention of the Tao validation list's first place, even the old goat's eyes flashed with a trace of dread. His voice was full of emotion. What? He fought a great emperor without losing? How could there be a great emperor in the Eternal Emperor Road? Kuanping was shocked, and his eyes were full of surprise. Even Ling Zhao's eyes shone with a brilliant light. If Sakra really did have the battle prowess of a great emperor, then wouldn't that mean he was on the same level as the Great Void Emperor? He hadn't become a great emperor, but he could slay one. Such a peerless character would be hard to come by in countless epics, right? There are no living great emperors on the Eternal Emperor Road, but there are dead great emperors. This Sakra once forced his way into a great emperor's place of Tao conversion and fought a battle spirit with the battle prowess of a great emperor without losing. If it wasn't for the fact that the battle spirit could only unleash 3 full power attacks from a great emperor, many people would think that Sakra had the power to slay an emperor. Everyone saw this with their own eyes several years ago, so he is fully deserving of being ranked first. Dugu Qiubai stood up and slowly spoke with a powerful battle intent in his eyes. Slaying an emperor. These 2 words caused everyone to fall silent. In everyone's mind, a great emperor represented invincibility, an existence capable of suppressing the heavens and ruling over the eons. They were the strongest in an epic, so who could kill such a character? Since the start of time, there were only a handful of people capable of slaying emperors before reaching the Tao. One could even count them on one's hand. If such a great genius didn't die, he would definitely become a great emperor. Of course, The human epic was glorious and resplendent. Two peerless characters had appeared, the Heaven Emperor and the Great Void Emperor. Both of them accomplished the feat of slaying emperors at the Imperial Lord realm. However, such characters only existed in the legends. Slaying an emperor? Huh? Ling Zhao's heart also felt a little heavy, and the sharpness in his eyes was unparalleled. The current Ling Xiao couldn't do it. Perhaps when Ling Xiao broke through to the ninth heaven of the Imperial Lord realm and merged with the origin Dao fruit, he would be able to fight against a great emperor with his physical body, Dao spirit, and many other trump cards. However, it would still be extremely difficult to slay an emperor. Perhaps after I condense the 4 Dao spirits, I can slay an emperor? This chakra is indeed powerful. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Zhao Ritian, you're the son of the Heaven Emperor. Isn't your surname Di? Could it be that this chakra has something to do with you? Yi Liangchen looked at Zhao Ritian curiously and asked. I'm not sure either. Perhaps when I see this chakra, I can ask him. Zhao Ritian smiled slightly, but there was a trace of arrogance in his eyes. He was very unconvinced. If Sakura could slay an emperor, so could he. Although it's extremely difficult to slay an emperor, it's not impossible. Just like the 9th prince of the immortal tribe, he might have the strength to slay an emperor. Among us, Ling Xiao, Senior Dugu, and Zhao Ritian also have hope. Taoist Wu Yang said slowly. Slay an emperor? Darkness Ling Xiao, who was at the side, did not say anything, but there was an extremely strong battle intent in his eyes. The 2 words seemed to have some kind of magic, causing everyone to be immersed in it and their hearts to tremble. However, it's a little strange that this Sakra's strength is unfathomable. He should be occupying the Chaos Emperor City, the leader of the 12 Emperor Cities. However, he chose Destiny Emperor City. Could it be that he's really not as good as the 9th prince? The White Dragon Horse also interjected and asked in confusion. This question stunned everyone. After thinking carefully for a while, they still couldn't find the answer. Ling Xiao remained silent for a while and said slowly, the word destiny is extremely special. Although there are 3,000 great Daos, chaos is the first and destiny is the second. However, chaos encompasses all 3,000 great Daos. It can be said that chaos exists in all 3,000 great Daos origins. If we were to really talk about it, destiny is the real origin. After all, even the great emperors can't be said to be truly immortal and immortal. They still haven't jumped out of the river of destiny and control their own destiny. Perhaps only those who have transcended can be truly immortal. As for transcending, perhaps it's just like what I've guessed, transcending destiny, transcending one's own destiny, transcending the destiny of all living beings, and transcending the destiny of the heavenly Tao. Ling Zhao's voice was as loud as a bell. Although it was just a guess, everyone couldn't help but tremble. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.